welcome to episode 19 of the Fish and Grits podcast. Oh, wait, nope. Fish and Grits, the podcast. Today is September 15th. I am Ryan Dollar. These are my cohorts. If you look below, the gentleman with the built-in Hulk hands is Micah Poole.
Hello.
The gentleman to my left is my stepbrother. Is that what we're going with? Marco Restrepo.
Hey guys, what's happening?
And we are 3/4 of Fish and Grits, the podcast. Lionel will be joining us here shortly. He's busy doing things that actually matter, like work.
Work.
Yeah, that's what I said. My boss said, you got to stay a bit longer. I said, no, I have a podcast to record, sir. I have to go. How's everybody been?
Pretty good, man.
Whatever.
Football is back, and that is awesome.
Football is back, and yet we continue another day into 2020 of pure chaos.
Football frustrated me.
You and most of Atlanta.
Well, fantasy-wise,
right?
Yeah.
I legitimately got screwed. I lost 3 in 3 of my 4 fantasy leagues in the last 5 minutes of the Monday night game.
Wow, that sucks.
3 of them.
I tried
one I lost by 0.1.
What do you have, the home field advantage points?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that sucks because that's like 0.2, I think.
Tannehill let me down. I thought they were going to cover the spread, but I guess it was more the field goal kicker than Tannehill that let me down. But they could have scored that touchdown in the last.
Gostkowski is a system field goal kicker.
Gostkowski was one of the ones. The time he decided to make a field goal was the one that cost me the game against Greg.
Right. We're gonna have plenty of time to talk about football,
Yeah,
guys. So let's get into
these current events.
Pew, 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 pew.
All right, so not much has really changed since the last time we spoke to you. Thankfully, in 2020, that's a pretty good sign. California is still burning to the ground as we speak.
Jesus. Is that still from the baby reveal?
Well, that's one of them. Yeah.
Okay,
that fire is still going. That's one of the larger ones. But there was one interesting development from that. A lot of these guys, I guess a lot of these people, not excluded the just gentlemen, a lot of the idiots are out there saying that Antifa is starting these fires across the state of California. And it's actually been spreading so quickly. And one of the local deputies, I believe sheriff's deputies, recorded a video just, standing in front of a highway, filming the fires. He's like, these Antifa guys, they're out there just causing hell. I was like, what? But here's the crazy thing. The FBI stepped in and was like, look, you idiots. No, they're not. Shut the fuck up. This is a dangerous line of rhetoric here. Please stop. Please stop saying these stupid things.
That's
it's getting out of hand when the FBI has to step in and be like, look, no, dummy.
Right. When the FBI responds to conspiracy theories, that they've gone too far.
Way too far. Oh God.
I've been meaning to do like for my IG page, like just like a little skit, like back when conspiracy theories are cool, and it runs through all of them, be like 9/11, the Illuminati, the Rothschilds. Then it'd be like Donald Trump is here to save us from the Illuminati. The Earth is flat. I'm like, what?
These have gotten really dumb. What happened?
Right. I can't get behind these at all.
Oh God. Speaking of really dumb, Nevada is one of these states that still has not a law, but what do you call them? An ordinance.
An ordinance.
To where you cannot, congregate indoors in crowds larger than certain amounts. And so like sports.
50 people, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is right. So no more than 50 people indoors at one time. So sports have canceled, bars, things like that have taken heed to this ordinance. There's one special individual that decided to just completely ignore that and hold another rally, because it's not a campaign event. It's a rally at this point. Trump held an indoor rally with several thousand people. And I'm sure this will be another super spreader event like his other one was. Hopefully no one dies, but He's got a pretty good streak going. Yeah, that's. I don't really have much to say on that other than he's just dumb.
Dumb.
But he came out today and denied that he downplayed it. It was like, I upplayed the virus. Really?
No, you didn't. You held a rally.
What he said, he was like, when they tried to call him out on the lying thing about like
Which time?
the recent one where he pretty much lied about not know. He tried to like say he didn't know about the virus, but then
yeah. Let's talk about that actually, because as everyone's seen, I forget the name of the individual who released all the tapes of him interviewing
Woodward.
Trump. Yeah. So Woodward released all his tapes of him interviewing him in February, March, I think.
Early March.
Talking about the virus, and you heard Trump speaking about it as he should have been, talking about how dangerous it is, how it's 5 times stronger than the flu, essentially, as far as its mortality rate. It's going to be hard to control because it goes through the air, so on and so forth. And, everyone hears this and it's like, well, yeah. Well, anyone with common sense hears this. And it's like, yeah, obviously that's what everyone's been saying except for your constituents.
Right.
So everyone's like, yeah, there's no way that he can back out of this. And did y'all hear his response?
Didn't he say like, I'm trying to be a cheerleader?
Well, yeah, that was one of his responses. I was the USA's biggest cheerleader.
I'm a cheerleader for this country. It's like, nah, bro, you're the head coach.
Right,
like,
exactly. But the best and most stereotypical narcissistic response I've heard in quite some time was when he tried to turn the blame on Woodward. He said, well, if he had this information for so long, why didn't he tell anybody? It's not my fault that he didn't share it.
So now Woodward's the conspiracy. Woodward's been holding out information from the American public.
It's his fault. This journalist, not the president of the United States, but it's this journalist's fault for withholding this information. Oh my God. I want to get off the ride. I don't care if we're at the top. Let me get
the clown show continues.
But that's the frustrating thing. It's how dumb do you really think the American public is?
Very.
Some people are very dumb, but like the tape when they was Inside Access had the tape of him saying, grab him by the pussy.
Oh yeah.
And those tapes were doctored. No, they weren't. It's like you can lie. You lie about everything, but want people to believe you. Oh, well, I don't want the people to panic. But you fearmonger when it comes to issues of race all the time. So
Muslims, Al Qaeda, Biden's gonna kill you all.
The Mexicans, they're not sending their best. They're sending their worst.
It's a bad. What do you say? What do you call them? Bad hombres.
Oh my God!
With the grab, yeah, he said that. But
they're bringing drugs.
The American people, like when he said that, grab him by the pussy thing. Some of his supporters like, well, I like a strong man who grabbed me by the pussy. It's like the American people, man. Sometimes.
Susie, calm down. Calm down,
Susie. Susie Karen Fisher, please calm down.
Oh man, but in another interesting turn of Trumpian events, he mentioned just the other day that he wants Joe Rogan to host the next upcoming debate. I really, really wish Lionel were here right now because I would like to watch his head explode.
The vitriol.
As we announce this, but we'll just have to, you know what, let's table this and loop back to it later when Lionel joins. We'll save this.
So we do got some birthdays today. I just want to highlight. Dan Marino, happy birthday, Dan Marino. Happy birthday. I saw some other ones that were important. Tommy Lee Jones.
Hey, I love Tommy Lee Jones. He was one of my favorite actors of all time, or is. He's still alive.
They say he's a real curmudgeon. Like,
yeah, I mean, did you not see it written all over his face?
I know, right?
The guy looks like he's like, fuck you, I'm here to make a check.
Coincidentally, my namesake, Marco Polo, his birthday is today. the man I've been called his name for my whole life. Agatha Christie. See if anybody else important. No, I hate when you go on these like birthday websites. They always list like 50 of these social media stars. Like anybody knows who they are.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. They're all like, "Oh, he's turning 17 today."
Who?
Who? Yeah, that's pretty.
Jimmy of the Hype House turned 17 today.
We're like, what?
Who? What's a Hype House?
A million people cared, but not one of them was me.
Nobody above the age of 25 actually cared
Or knows. Like, who the hell is that?
Oh, man. Guys, are you ready to go into an all-out grits blitz?
Grits blitz. Burr, burr. Let's do this.
Oh, we got a toy train?
That was like my coach list.
Come on, ride that train.
Or is that the
And
the Falcons draft sound?
Oh my God.
I forgot about that. Oh, let's go into a grits blitz.
Grits blitz.
Did you guys see or hear what Skip Bayless said about Dak Prescott the other day?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't see it, Marco?
Mhm.
I saw like the meme where he was serving up L's, where Shannon was serving up L's. He had Dak at the table, Tom Brady at the table. It was
Oh, he's just talking about his standing
Kawhi.
against people.
Okay.
Nah,
You missed something that really should have cost Skip Bayless his job.
This was last week. This wasn't after Sunday.
Go ahead. What did he say?
So Dak Prescott was interviewed about a week or two ago, and he was talking about the beginning of the pandemic. I don't know if you remember, he lost his brother to suicide.
Yeah.
And then, fell into what everyone else fell into come about March. So he was talking about how essentially his struggles with mental health during that time, because you lose your brother, you go and you suffer a pandemic, you get trapped in the house, and how he was not really able to identify that he was going through the throes of depression. He was unable to sleep. He was having all these other things that he mentioned, but because his
anxiety and all that.
Yeah, his unfamiliarity with depression, growing up and essentially an alpha male, growing up at the top of society, being treated a certain way, you don't really get told those things, I'm sure. And it's not something that you really identify with. And it's probably a little bit to do with toxic masculinity. Being told, suck it up, rub some dirt on it. You don't have feelings, drive on.
Right.
I think that's something that all of us have been told here. And in sports, in some ways I get that, but in other ways, that's really not healthy for you. It's not good for what goes between those 6 inches between your ears. Anyway, he really opened up and talked about depression and said, you know what, I suffered from it. I'm not immune to this just because I'm the quarterback for America's team. I'm not immune to this because I'm an elite athlete. I went through this too. And so the proper response from anyone listening to that would be, wow, Dak, that's good for you. I'm glad you're talking about this. It really sucks that you went through it, but it's good that you made it through and you're now spreading the word and spreading awareness to this. That's not what Skip Bayless did.
Yeah.
Skip Bayless decided to attack Dak Prescott for talking about depression and admitting that he was going through depression, and called it a weakness and said that he should not be talking about this. He should have sought help then, but you don't need to hear about it now, essentially is what he said. And, well, the internet went at him. His Instagram was filled with people like, how do you still have a job? You shouldn't have a job, that you took big L's, blah, blah, blah. And so I think, was that a Friday, Micah, that he said that his original comments?
Maybe
he had a little bit of time.
No. I think he said it last Thursday or so.
Okay.
And then after everybody went in on him, I think Friday he tried to clarify his statements and whatnot, which he didn't say anything.
He essentially doubled down.
Yeah.
He said, Well, let me clarify on my misconstrued comments. What I was actually trying to say is if you were suffering from pandemic depression, you should have sought help then. And if you have pandemic depression, and it's like, no, Skip, stop, man. You said some ignorant ass shit. You attacked the man who was talking about depression and his own struggles with it, and you called him weak. And I think he called him a coward too, if I'm not mistaken. I think he threw the word coward in.
I don't remember everything he did say, but my biggest issue was like, what's wrong with him talking about his brother died. And so it's not just like pandemic depression. It's not just pandemic depression. He lost his brother during the pandemic. So the pandemic depression on top of the loss of his brother, mourning his brother, it led him in a deep despair pretty much. And you're just kind of brushing that to the side. Oh, pandemic depression. No, there was more to it than just being locked in the house in pandemic. Don't downplay what he went through.
Yeah, man. I think I did. Now, after you talked about it, I did hear about this incident, but I wasn't necessarily clear on that it was Skip who said it. But yeah, man, that's crazy though that he would get that insensitive, especially knowing how close Dak is to all his brothers. Like they're in freaking Chunky Soup commercials together. And when I heard that, it's like that, I felt for him then. So it's like, I don't understand. And then it's brave for him to come out and talk about it. But what that goes to show me sort of, I don't know if you call it toxic masculinity, but it's almost like it goes to show that when a man is vulnerable, people can take pop shots at him and it's okay. You know what I mean? If a man decides to disclose how he really feels or his deepest feelings, it's okay for people to make fun of them and then not face repercussions.
Well, think back a couple weeks as to what happened to Chadwick when he was looking the way he did.
Right. People were just picking on him and going, roasting him. And
like he had like a drug addiction.
And the crazy thing about that is all his message was just to big up Jackie Robinson. He wasn't even saying anything like people are just savage though. But the fact that Skip didn't face any kind of repercussion from his job after insulting a man for opening up about his brother's suicide and how that impacted him along with COVID is
I want to say one thing. I want to clarify, or at least what I think is a clarification on what you just said. I don't think it's just men. I think people in the public eye, that they are very prone to anytime they show any type of weakness, because especially athletes, they are prone to that. People will just go in on them. Anytime they show any type of weakness, anytime they show any type of, step down from where we hold them publicly, that'll happen. But let me clarify, because I have his comments here now. Skip Bayless said, he's the quarterback of America's team. The sport he plays is a dog-eat-dog. It is no compassion. No quarterback is given on the football field. If you reveal publicly any little weakness, it can affect your team's ability to believe in you in the toughest spot. He has a lot of burdens on him. He had a lot of tough things. Like, he just goes on. He you know how Skip Bayless says. He says the same thing over and over and over and over.
Right. So he's just pretty much saying it's like a chink in the arm. Well, let me not say it. It's like a weakness that he's giving the opponent.
Yeah, he said he can't be a leader. He went on to say he's an incapable leader if he admits weakness. His teammates won't trust him, and he won't be able to lead them by admitting weakness.
So, but couldn't you say the opposite? Like, couldn't it be like the Eminem 8 Mile tactic, where you put all your things out there, and then people can't use them against you?
Well, that's one thing. I was watching Pat McAfee the other day, and they were talking about this, and he and AJ Hawk were like, this is the type of leader that you actually follow. These are the type of guys, when they come out and they put their proverbial, all their cards on the table, they say, look, here's me. Here's what I am. I'm going to be this person, but I'm also going to have standards for that. That will always go further than someone that gets up there and does those little rah-rah speeches and like tries to act like they're impervious.
Come on, guys.
Yeah,
let's push through.
exactly.
Right. And then they go back and just hit a bottle or something, or just dead depressed when they're by themselves.
Here's the one thing I like. The funny thing is, Skip is so critical of Dak being honest, but this year they have more guys who have been like come out and just been honest, like openly honest. Like they signed Gerald McCoy. That's like he's one of those who's big, like he came out and questioned Jerry Jones on, where he was going to stand. Alden Smith, he came out and was honest about his problems and just being immature and stuff like that. Too many athletes kind of, when they have issues, it's almost like, no, I can't show sign of weakness, which, I mean, I understand that that's where I was taught coming up, but, I think a lot of them are now more aware and they realize, like, to let you know, like, because you look like people look at athletes almost like they don't look at them as human. Like subhuman type or like these superior,
almost like meta-human, really.
Yeah, like superheroes almost. And it's like, we're human. If I can deal with, like, if I know the same way you can go deal with this, I can deal with it. But I had to seek help, so you should seek help. And that's what Dak said. That was one of the reasons why he came out. Like, they asked him about the Skip Bayless comments, and he was like, I just came out because I felt like other people who might be going through this, they, it's to encourage them to seek help, and not just try to ride it out or, just push through it and act like it's not happening.
And I think didn't Dak make those comments on like suicide awareness day or something? Or it was like, I know that recently passed.
I think that's when that interview came out.
Okay, yeah. So it was all.
Yeah, that was I forgot about that layer to it. Is Skip made these comments on suicide awareness and suicide prevention day.
Big bully.
Yeah, people were just like, "What are you doing?"
Skip Bayless is just one of those people who's probably bullied his whole life, and now he has a chance to like get some revenge.
It's my turn to talk.
My turn.
It's so funny when he does that, and Shannon's just sitting across from him like, "You okay?
You had plenty of time to talk, Skip. You had plenty of time to talk. Oh no, now you want to talk."
Let's speaking of bullies, let's move it on to our next topic here. So Cam Newton made his Patriots debut this past weekend, and unsurprisingly, looked really good.
Looked like Cam Newton.
Yeah, he looked like Cam Newton of old. I think he had like 15 rushes for 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I think he threw for 1 as well. I could be mistaken there. But he looked really good. Led him to a victory over the Dolphins. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just the Dolphins." Man, the Dolphins are going to be a good team this year. For a lot of people who think they're the Dolphins of old, I advise you to take a look at that depth chart, especially defense.
They're going to be better than the Jets, that's for sure.
God, they're going to be exponentially better than the Jets. They got a lot of talent on that defense, and then they got Tua on the other side. If he can stay healthy, he's a leader. He's a winner.
I don't think he's going to get to play this year though.
Yeah, I mean, you got the beard.
Well, I think Tua. I think they're going to kind of hold Tua back, and
which would be smart.
If Tua's 100% and they're out of the playoff race or whatever, they might ride. They might just be like, "All right, Tua, get you a few starts in." Kind of like Kansas City did with Mahomes his rookie year, and then next year he'll be the starter. But I mean, I just think.
Yeah, there's no rush.
Try and groom him.
Especially coming back from those injuries that he had. You don't want to risk him.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he wasn't even really supposed to play to show himself at the Combine, but he was way ahead of schedule. So
Right.
Well, he didn't go to the Combine. It was pro day.
Yeah, well, yeah, his.
And with no preseason, it's also just a good idea to sort of just not
mess
with him.
So as we all know from having to face Cam Newton for, 8 years he was here in the division? Somewhere around there. He can be a little boisterous. He can be a little animated on the field.
Front runner E.
Yeah, and he gets on the field and he does those little first down things. He does his Superman thing. He'll get up there and really show that he's having a good time. And it can piss some fans off, and I'm sure it can piss the players that he's running over off. And so after the game, even though they're not supposed to be doing this in the NFL, they were walking around the field, and Cam Newton was standing there, really. And then on camera, you see this hand reach in at his collar and rip. And then you see Cam get real pissed off, all of a sudden get real animated, and then he's like grabbing at his chain because it's falling apart. A Dolphins player reached and ripped his chain off because they said they were pissing him off, and his chain was hanging out of his jersey half the time, which is just a real petty thing to do. But the culprits are supposed to be Raekwon McMillan, the linebacker from Ohio State, and Dexter Lawrence, who
I saw Raekwon in your rundown. I'm like, what does this chef got to do with this?
What? But that was crazy, man. You just lost to the guy. He ran all over you guys, and then you're gonna go for his chain.
Yeah,
you're big mad.
It was like Aqib Talib against Michael Crabtree.
Boy, that whole thing was great. For those of y'all that don't know, Aqib Talib essentially said he has no respect for Michael Crabtree back in the day, and he would snatch his chain in the middle of games. They got into a couple fights in their time together. That was fun to watch. I love that.
So is that like too much? Like, I feel like it's too much, but just as a devil's advocate, in is all fair in love and war? Is snatching his chain to get in his head for the next game, or is it just gonna make him madder the next time he plays?
He's one of those players that I wouldn't want to make mad. Exactly. I don't want to give Cam bulletin board material, especially this year.
Right. They asked him, so do you have butterflies being the new Patriots quarterback? He said, I don't get butterflies. I give butterflies.
What?
I mean, he makes people nervous to play him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I see where you're going with that, Micah, with Cam.
Hey,
leave that man alone.
Yeah, leave him alone.
I actually like Cam. I didn't like him as a Panther, but that's,
now that he's out of the division, you can support him again.
But when he came out of Auburn, I was actually rooting for him big time. A lot of people, he's going to be terrible. He's inaccurate. I'm like, he's going to be much better than what y'all want to give him credit for, because he was really good at Auburn. He was beast at Auburn. And it's like,
he made a lot of money at Auburn too.
Well, I can't even be mad at him, because that comeback from behind win against Bama, I was like, yes, somebody beat Bama.
I'm a fan of Cam. I've always been a fan of Cam. I mean, except when he was dabbing on us and stuff, and I loved it when we ruined his perfect season. But I mean, I was even cheering for him in the Super Bowl, huh?
Didn't we get the best of him most of the time? We had a winning record against him.
Yeah, for sure. But until I really stopped liking Cam though when he threw the Super Bowl. That was my last straw.
Oh man, I still remember that Debo hit on him on the goal line.
Oh yeah, the helmet
tiptoeing on the goal line. Debo, bow.
Yeah, that's when I was like, all right, Debo, you're now a Falcon for life. All right, so let's take a look here, guys. Let's move into these before we get to the one we really want to cover. We'll go ahead and recap some of the games that we saw this weekend. So we saw the Bills beat the Jets, the very, very ugly Jets. They are going to be probably the worst team in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, they want Trevor bad.
Yeah. And the crazy thing, we'll get to
Joe Burrow gives the Bengals hope.
He does with that. Wait, we'll get to that game. Okay, let's just look at the game that we're looking at. Okay, so the Jets Bills. I don't have much to say about that. I mean, Josh Allen looks like a 1950s quarterback. The way he was skedaddling around. But I mean, he's good, man. Don't get me wrong.
You hear the NFL Films like the vault music,
right? Like they just need to start running a wing T offense.
Oh man! So in good old Georgia fashion, the Lions blew a game they literally had in their hands against the Bears as Swift. Mike, actually, I'll let you handle that one because I'll just let you.
DeAndre Swift gets behind the corner and the safety, and Stafford drops the ball right into his hands, and he drops it. He catches it, and before he can even take a step, it's dropped.
He turns to like celebrate in the end zone almost, and was like,
Yeah, it's like he thought he had it.
It was. It was perfect. It was like the dude who, was like, "Oh, I'm about to score. Oh no!" Hits his hands and immediately got too happy about it and just dropped the ball.
Let's look at this real quick though. But Mitchell Trubisky.
That's the funniest part of this game is the fact that the Bears ended up winning, and now they have no excuse to bench Mitchell Trubisky. Because I think I was looking at the ticker, and at one point he was either 6 for 20 or 8 for 20.
They said he looked like a high school quarterback in the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter he just was like, "Oh yeah, football."
Right. Always terrible. He never shows anybody anything other than being terrible, Mitchell Trubisky.
And then the ageless wonder Adrian Peterson ran for almost 100 yards.
That's crazy.
Yeah, against the Bears defense too. Now, granted, they're missing their run stopper in the middle, but still, that's still a good defense. Let's move it on down the road here. Where are we at? Aaron Rodgers looks like he's pissed off because a lot of people didn't mention him as a front runner for the MVP this year.
He got a beard.
Yeah, he's got a. You know what? Bearded Aaron Rodgers is better than smooth.
Any other.
That's the dangerous Aaron Rodgers. Mustache Aaron Rodgers, he's okay. Smooth face Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that's his young persona. But bearded Aaron Rodgers, that's the one you got to watch out for.
Right. He's focused on football. Yeah. And what's his face? Go ahead.
He sliced and diced that Vikings defense apart. Now, granted, it's a young defense, but it's still a Mike Zimmer defense.
Right.
I think LaFleur finally let him do his thing, though.
Yeah.
Last year it was just like, no, we're just going to run the ball, run heavy. You do our play action. You go off play action.
Devonta Adams continues to be a fantasy gem.
Yeah.
Well, that's if he doesn't get hurt, because that would kill me last year.
We don't need to cover the Dolphins Patriots because we've already talked about that. The Washington football team gets their first dub as they sack Carson Wentz 8 times and just absolutely destroy that Eagles team who was far undermanned. I think they had 2 offensive linemen out, 4 starters on defense were out. So we'll get to see how good they are next week, really, when they face a complete team.
They're playing the Rams, I think.
Yeah. Who looked decent, or the Cowboys just looked really bad. But
yeah.
Marco, you take this one.
Raiders, Panthers. I mean, I didn't really pay attention to that game. Let's see what Christian McCaffrey did. 23 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns.
It was Christian McCaffrey versus Josh Jacobs.
Pretty much.
That's Jacobs scored 3 touchdowns. McCaffrey scored 2. It was a lot of it was.
So you're telling me Derek Carr wasn't impressive? Is that what you're telling me?
He looked okay. He didn't. Bad.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Derek Carr isn't going to wow you, but he's going to play decent, and it's pretty much the other pieces around him. If they can make plays, then they can win.
If you're ever looking at Derek Carr, think Matt Stafford light.
I don't even think that.
Yeah, he's not that good.
Stafford's
a
gunslinger.
So think about their career. They both have had 2 really good seasons where they've thrown for a ton of touchdowns. I mean, one year Derek Carr was in the running for an MVP, man. I think
that was the year we went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, I mean, Derek Carr has had some really good years behind him, but now he's just kind of he'll probably throw 24, 25 touchdowns and 15 interceptions and, 4,000 yards, which is about what Stafford has become. Unless Stafford bounces back and he shoves it in my face, I just don't think either of those guys are ever going to be anything more than a strong arm quarterback.
Yeah, but the thing about Stafford is at least he can pad your fantasy stats. Derek Carr doesn't.
So can Derek.
Derek Carr. Wait, what? Are you going to click on it? I don't know. What?
You want to see what his
I feel like he's always underwhelming.
22 of 30, 1 touchdown. I mean, let's see what his career highs are.
He's like a check down guy.
No, Derek Carr will air the fuck out of the ball. What are you talking about?
I haven't seen that since he got hurt. Not since
Actually, yeah, since he's gotten hurt, he's more like Alex Smith than Stafford.
I don't know if y'all heard that. That was all in my ears, that ad.
Yeah,
I mean, that year when he threw for 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, came back 28-6. I mean, just last year, 21-8. That's not bad.
It's not bad, but when you watch him play, like I just think he lacks
he's
confidence.
A little underwhelming.
He lacks confidence that he had.
Last year, he also had no wide receivers, like none. He had Darren Waller, and that was it.
Neither did Wentz, but Wentz got to the playoffs.
He's also got a much better team around him.
True.
All right, so let's burn through these next couple ones. The Jaguars upset the Colts in Old Man River. Micah's favorite quarterback.
Not much to say here.
I think Micah might have frozen.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Micah. I think we're having a repeat of last week. My
internet's down to 4 bars, but it's still working. I don't know why.
Yeah. The Ravens look like the best team in football right now as they absolutely dismantled the Browns. They beat them 38-6.
Second best team in football because the Chiefs actually beat a good team and dismantled them.
The Browns are we'll see. The Browns have a lot of talent, but they have not looked good.
They have Baker.
Oh, there's
Mayfield.
Micah. He's back.
Hey, Micah. Baker Mayfield is not good, and he never will be.
Yeah, I think I might be able to get on that train right there.
They might as well go ahead and hire him as their male version of Flo.
The Bengals. So Joe Burrow actually looked really good and was really clutch when it came down to the stretch as they came up just short against the Chargers. He drove them all the way down to the 10-yard line. Actually threw a touchdown to A.J. Green that got called back for offensive pass interference, and they had to kick a field goal to go into overtime. And their kicker shanked it and cost them the game.
And they still call Tyrod. They still call Tyrod.
We'll skip that game real quick because we'll come back and gloat about that in a second.
Okay.
Cardinals and 49ers look like one of the most competitive games out there as you have two really good teams. Brett Coleman looks to be right. That Cardinals defense looked amazing. I think they held George Kittle to 5 catches and 40 some odd yards.
And sprained his knee.
And I mean, Kittle, one thing that Coleman was talking about in some of his videos is the Cardinals were the worst team at defending the tight end last year. And so their number 1 draft pick in Isaiah Simmons really locked down all the tight ends out there. The Cowboys looked terrible against the Rams. They lost 17-20. Steelers defense looked absolutely amazing as they shut down the entire Giants offense, beat them 26-16.
The Giants just look so bad, though.
They really did.
Daniel Jones is not good at football yet. I don't know if he ever will be.
Yeah, but to hold Saquon 18 carries for 6 yards.
Yeah, I give Jason Garrett half of that credit because
that's still 18 carries that you gave Saquon.
Those are some bad opportunities.
Yeah, but Saquon is one of those backs that he's super strong. He can make people miss. And really all it takes is him to make a couple people miss behind the line of scrimmage, and it's a home run and 6 yards.
Steelers had that linebacker though, who's real nice there.
TJ Watt, Devin Bush.
Yeah, it's the Bush, not Watt. Yeah. Bush, yeah. The complementary piece to Watt.
And then the system kicker, Stephen Gostkowski, almost blows the game for the Titans as he misses 4 field goals. 3 out of his 4 field goals that he
three in the extra point.
Yeah. As they barely squeaked by the Broncos 16-14.
And he blew my parlay as well as almost blowing the game.
And then let's talk about this game right here.
Gostkowski and Henry cost me a game.
In fantasy?
Oh, look who it is.
Tommy.
He gets to join us as we talk about Tampa Bay versus the New Orleans Saints.
Tom Brady came out looking like Ferris Bueller.
Boom, boom.
He played what Ferris Bueller might play football like.
So,
What's up, Lionel?
Hi.
welcome to the show. What we're going to talk about Tampa Bay versus the Saints real quick. Then we're going to cover the Falcons. Then we're going to go back and double back on one of our current events that we skipped just for you. So every NFC South's wet dream might have come true this year, as everyone knows that the Brady's, the Tampa Bay Brady's, pretty much took every big name free agent that there possibly was this offseason and are absolutely loaded on offense, and they already had a pretty good defense. Well, Tom didn't look like Tom of old out there. He was throwing bad passes. His arm strength looked okay, but his reads were bad, and he did not look comfortable in the pocket at all, as the Saints really just controlled the game the entire time. I think it was 23-7 at the beginning of the third quarter. What'd you see, Micah?
To be honest with you, I think Tom and Breeze looked old to me.
Yeah.
Like they're, everybody wants to credit, oh yeah, they're gonna be good, they're gonna break records and so on and so forth. I mean, both of their ages showed to me. I think New Orleans is a more complete team, and so they looked better in that game. And Breeze didn't have to do as much. But yeah, I just like Brady. That first pick six was absolutely terrible. Like he threw it 5 yards behind his receiver. Like, dude,
You think it's the system? You think it's developing? Because you said that his arm doesn't necessarily look completely washed, but is it the system that he's having a trouble adjusting to? I mean, it is the first time he's had to switch his system just completely for the first time in his career, really. Yeah,
I think there's something to say about Mike Evans not having a catch through the first three quarters at all. And the small, what is his name? What's their slot receiver, Micah?
Godwin?
No.
Or Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller. When Scotty Miller, the small wide receiver, is out receiving Godwin and Evans, I think we know that what happened in New England was not a coincidence, fellas.
But it's funny though that Tom Brady would rely on his white security blanket. But Gronk looks so old, man.
Gronk looks so slow.
Yeah, like he was like 3 steps slower than he's ever been.
Bruh, I mean, it's my thing is like Brady's arm didn't look terrible, but it wasn't as good as it was. You can tell he's losing a little bit.
Yeah.
He can't zip the ball in there like he had in the past. Like that.
Can he spin it, Micah?
He can't spin it like he used to. Like that out. It was an out that he threw the pick six on. Dude, like one of my coworkers was like, oh, the timing was off. Like, bruh, that's not timing. He threw it behind him and he couldn't put enough on it. So it just kind of floated like a lame duck. And corner was like, thank you. So
do you think that with watching this game, right? Because New Orleans actually didn't necessarily play a great game, right? But still managed to destroy Tampa Bay.
Offensively, they didn't look.
Offensively, So do you think that Tampa Bay is just not good? You think that they're working out the kinks? Like, do you think that the game they have against Carolina this week is going to be like a scoring fest? Can Tampa Bay just not stop anybody?
I think a lot of the things I said in the earlier episode when we talked about it are coming to fruition. Like the offensive line isn't as good, isn't that great, and the scheme, what's his name? What's the heck? Arians. Arians' scheme is more of a vertical scheme. He takes shots downfield and stuff like that. Well, when you don't have a great offensive line and you're facing a good pass rush for a quarterback like Brady, it doesn't lead to good things. And I mean, he took a lot of hits.
Oh my God. He was like upside down like 2 plays.
Bruh. And it was like just trying to play that style of offense, it was like he took a lot of hits that he would have never taken in New England. He would have just gotten rid of the ball. Just check down the running backs and stuff like that. But there were a lot of times where there was no running back check down. The running back's back in the backfield trying to block for him. So that's why Scotty Miller got so many, because they just had him on drag routes all day, and he just checked down to him. So, I mean, it doesn't look like the perfect, the picture perfect match for Tampa, in my opinion.
Lionel, is Tampa Bay salvageable, or is this what we're going to see all year?
This is what we're going to see all year. They'll probably improve their game-to-game stats a little bit, and they'll probably improve a little bit of their pass blocking. But this is what you got from Bruce Arians in Pittsburgh. That's what you got from Bruce Arians wasn't he in Indy?
Arizona. And
he was in Indy for a minute, right?
In Indy.
I think it was in
Yeah, and in Arizona with Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
You know, and the reason why he got moved from Pittsburgh and the reason why they were sort of like, okay, bye, in Arizona is because he keeps breaking his old man quarterbacks. You know, we talked about this a little bit on Sunday. This is the worst possible offensive scheme for Tom Brady to be in right now. Like, it's just, he should have gone to San Francisco, because Kyle Shanahan runs an offense that Ryan would be an MVP in. And we all know that he's got a noodle arm. You know, like, it's just legitimately Tom Brady should have gone to San Francisco. You know, Green Bay, one of those teams that run, you know, very dynamic schemes, just like they did in New England, that plays to his strengths and protects a quarterback from having to make up for his line's deficiencies. You know, I think one of the other things that we talked about a lot was the difference versus talent, and if you can out talent bad coaching or bad scheme even. And the type of quarterback that we all agreed can outplay a bad scheme is the opposite of Tom Brady. Right. Cam Newton outplayed Norv Turner's bad scheme. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and Deshaun Watson and Russ is a really good one, because I hate Schottenheimer. You know, and then you've got guys who, when you're in a good scheme for your play set, like, and you know I'm going to say his name, Lamar Jackson over in Baltimore, or Pat Mahomes in Kansas City, all of a sudden you see what happens, that like they put up like superhero numbers. You know, Brady went to an offense that was designed for no one who actually plays football, for a coach who doesn't make adjustments to his game plan, and a piss poor offensive line, and really not a very exciting receiving core. You know what? Mike Evans was held catchless until the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense looks like it could be something in Tampa. And I think a lot of that has to do with Todd Bowles, my man Todd Bowles, who took, you know, the worst possible head coaching job that he could when he went to New York.
Right.
4 targets? Yeah, Mike Evans, 4 targets, 1 reception for 2 yards.
Wow.
That offense is not scary at all. And then Bruce Arians, you know, saw Bruce Arians threw Tom under the bus in the post-game press conference. Yeah, Bruce Arians was like, well, I don't know, because we practice all that stuff in practice, and Tom picked it up in practice. So legitimately, instead of being like, hey, you know, I've got a Hall of Fame quarterback, I need to change my scheme. Right. Bruce Arians just threw that man under the bus, just right under the bus.
Instead of being like, Tom, you know, Tom's one of the greats, we'll figure it out. He's like, oh, I don't know. We told him what to do.
He's an idiot. Not my fault.
Yeah. Instead of saying like, or even instead of doing the Dan Quinn yearly, we're really pissed off quote, you know, Bruce Arians was like, I don't know what was wrong with him. Which is ridiculous to me.
Maybe he was still wearing those stupid sunglasses on the field.
Yeah.
You just take the game serious.
Funny
Alex
thing,
Guerrero should come in. Jameis is standing on the other sideline like.
like, like after that pick six, he's just looking like I could have did that.
I did that really well last year.
Yeah, and like we were talking about how Jameis is hella good with the deep ball, right? It's the medium and short range stuff that he's sort of iffy on. He's perfect for the Arians offense. I'm wondering if this is all part of Josh McDaniel's plan. Right? Tom comes to Tampa. Bruce Arians gets his leg cut off. Tom's leg. Like he gets fucking eaten by somebody in Tampa and behind the offensive line.
Eats Tom Brady.
Yeah, and then Josh McDaniels comes in and takes over as head coach.
Right. That could be it.
Now he still has Tom Brady. Josh McDaniels could probably scheme Tom Brady to another 10 years of productive high-level quarterbacking.
With those receivers? Yeah.
Right, because he did it in New England with
Nobody.
Just guys from Boston that they found. They went out to the bar and they're like, "Hey, oh, you that." I can't even do a Boston accent. You that football coach. You wicked good. Wicked good at football. I play wiffle ball.
I play lacrosse.
They picked up Ben Affleck's next door neighbors and Mark Wahlberg's dry cleaner guys. And they made them into a receiving core. Oh, and Sony Michel.
Hey, that guy Bobby right there, he can run wicked fast, man.
They're not even fast. It's stupid. The fact that we lost to that team makes me angry because for a number of reasons. But then the other thing is that you've got the Belichick defense, right? Which is constantly good. So Tom goes from, the perfect place for him to one of the worst places for him in the league. And he didn't even go to LA. Where at least, or Miami where you could just hang out in the sunshine,
Right.
He didn't pick somewhere cool to go. I would have gone to Los Angeles. I would have gone to the Chargers. I would just be I'll mentor what's his nuts.
Even Nash Vegas. Yo.
No, they just gave Tanny. Anyway, fuck Tom Brady. I personally am looking forward to him declining seriously. And if they go 0-16, then we revoke his Hall of Fame status.
Man, he would be looked at completely different if they have a
I can't wait. I
Well,
cannot wait.
7-9 season. Do you think people will start?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All of it will shift to Belichick. All of it.
Yeah.
My favorite part about this is that everyone was like, "Oh, Tampa's a shoo-in for the Super Bowl," and now Tom Brady might be the third best quarterback in the NFC South, if not the worst, because Teddy was dropping some dimes in that Matt Rule offense over in Carolina. Man, watch out!
All right, guys. Are y'all ready to relive the abuse of Sunday?
Yes.
Are y'all ready to break this down one last time? Now
Ready.
Now that we've had time to actually marinate in that loss and actually to look at some things and think about it. All right. So as many of y'all saw, the Seahawks came down to a jam-packed Mercedes-Benz Stadium and just laid it to us. More so in the second half, but just laid it to these Falcons. And not so much the players. They really laid it to our coaching staff, and they made us look like we didn't know what we were doing half the time. So let's recap a little bit. Russell Wilson goes 31 of 35 for 322 yards, 4 touchdowns for a QBR of 143. I think he just barely missed joining Gardner Minshew as the only other quarterback in NFL history to have a completion percentage of over 90% when throwing over 15 passes, I think is what it was. Speaking of which,
Wow.
Gardner Minshew went 19 of 20, guys. Gardner Minshew.
What company?
Who are they playing?
They were playing the Colts.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's not.
Russ was at an 88.6% completion.
I mean, to throw it 35 times and to have essentially an 89% completion percentage, that's crazy.
With an average completion distance of 9.2 yards. The
First
man
down
was
machine.
averaging a first down per throw.
And here's what makes me mad. A lot of the people were worried about our run defense, and deservedly so, because last year we just got fucking gashed when we played good running teams. And that's what Seattle's bread and butter is. They're a running team. They want to run it, and they will throw when they need to. Granted, they have really good receivers and they have a really good quarterback, but in that system, they want to run it first. We held them to 84 yards, and 30 of those came from their quarterback scramble.
Right. He was their leading rusher.
So
28 is the long. So like half of that was one rush.
yeah, I think that was that read option in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And we just deaded that shit after that. So run defense looked really good. But I'll go last on this because I have a lot of thoughts. Marco,
Okay.
what
So-
happened?
I think that because as you can see, like a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of my Falcon hater friends, and they're like, "Oh, what happened? What happened?" And it's like they're like, "Oh, what about your defense? Y'all gave up 38 points." I'm like, "It's not the defense, guys. Like the defense actually looked okay. Like the defense looked like they've made some improvements. I think what really put us under the gun in this game was obviously Dirk Cutter and his terrible play calls. Yes. But then all those fourth downs that we tried to convert and put our defense in terrible situations, with short fields, it made it easy for Russ to go out there and play backyard football with a short field and just magically have his receivers come open. And I think that was the recipe to us giving up as many points as we did in so many separate, instances. And also what I'll say is that I think in hindsight, it won't be so bad that we got smoked by the MVP of the league because he is my pick for this year's MVP.
A solid pick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And when I go to you next, let's go with analysis of this game and then projection forward after. So Lionel, what happened? Where did we go wrong?
Will you scroll down a little bit for me? Okay, thanks. There are 3 places where you can see where we completely lost the thread, lost the plot. The first one is in the defensive section, right? We had 3 sacks, but what was the possession percentage breakdown?
You're talking about time of possession?
Yeah.
Where's the team?
Team stats. Thank you.
At the top.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Where's it at?
Right there at the bottom, I think. Right here.
Oh, here, yeah.
30, 31 to
And it was
29.
split.
So we got some pressure on the quarterback, but not nearly enough. But if you look right there at total plays, we had 77 more plays than they did,
That doesn't seem
which
right.
is,
that didn't feel right.
it was all defense, right?
No, that's
That's offensive plays.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we were going 3 and out every couple of seconds, right?
I think
right above that,
in the fourth.
Yeah,
They just scored so quickly, right? But we were struggling. We would just move down ploddingly, but they scored quickly, which is why they had so few. Because of the
0-4 on fourth down.
Yeah, the short field is why they were able to score so quickly.
And then one drop over for me, Ryan, to the
What do you want? Box score?
Yeah. I want to point out two stats that I think tell the story, and then I'm going to tell you what my interpretation is. We had 72 rushing yards, right, on 21 carries. They had 84 rushing yards on 20 carries. But we had 3 receivers over 100 yards receiving in the game, with Julio at 157. 3 receivers with 9 receptions, right? Matt Ryan went 37 of 54 for 450 yards because we gave up running the football in the third quarter. Todd Gurley had 56 yards. Does that sound like time of possession, hard nose football to you? Does that sound like balanced, complete football to you? We have seen this before. We know how this story goes, right? We've seen Dirt Cutter at the under the supervision of a supposedly defensive head coach, right? But a weak personality defensive head coach who says that we're going to play smash mouth football, and then like we run the ball in the first half, and then we're down 27, right? And then the defense, which is playing pretty well, just plays too long, and then we start seeing lapses, right? Like, one of the things about the Kyle Shanahan offense and even the Sarkisian offense that I really appreciated is that we held the ball. You know, we would have drives that lasted more than half of a quarter, you know, which was great because the games went fast when I was watching them on TV. But it was also great because like we would wear the defense out. So by the time we got to the third or fourth quarter, you know, they were gassed, bro, and we were just smoking them. And our defense was so fresh that, you know, that's why old boy Victor Beasley had so many sacks that year, right? Is because like he was barely on the field, you know. And then when you're playing ahead, you can pin your ears back and go. This offense sucks. Not the players, because you don't have three receivers of over 100 yards receiving. You know, Matt, actually his stat line isn't as clean as it should have been because he had that one pick, which was just sort of like I'm going to try to score at the end of the game. Let's see what happens, you know, but like anybody could have been picked off like that. Right. But I mean, like 450 and 2 touchdowns, like the man is playing out of his fucking mind. Our coaching staff is garbage, especially on the offensive side. I'm going to give Raheem Morris a lot of props on the defensive side. I think that they looked great, especially considering how young we are on defense, especially with you know, rookie corner and not having Kendall Sheffield and stuff like that. I think we looked, you know, especially they're playing Kiki Neal as a dime linebacker, you know, like that's the defense looked better than they had any right to. Now, the problem is that our offense can't be bailed out by itself, you know? And when you're going up against a team in Seattle that is so well developed and so talented, you can't do stuff like that.
Micah, what'd you see?
So, you know, we're about to talk about this a little before, and before we started recording. I've been fans, like the diehard Matt Ryan fans are driving me crazy, because even though Matt did play a very good game, you know, they want to point out his stats and they want to blame the defense for why we lost. And it's like, it's not on the defense. Defense actually did their job for the most part. He had a couple of big plays. The DK touchdown, where Oliver got beat, which, I mean,
that was the worst play of the night.
Yeah, I mean, he just got out-muscled and then outran, and Russ threw an absolute perfect throw. You could not throw a better ball than that.
He wasn't paying attention, man. Like he gave up on that play too because it was 4th down.
Oh yeah.
So when DK like blew past him, like blew him out his cleats, you can see he was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
yeah. Well, I mean that's still, you know, like we when Brett came on here, he talked about Oliver just doesn't have the confidence because he has 4.5 speed and he's facing a legit 4.3 guy. So it was just kind of like, you know, once he got past him, it's like crap, and he goes into panic mode, and it was done. And I mean, even DK even got Terrell that one play on that double move.
Sluggo.
Yeah, but I mean, really, like I said, the defense gives me hope. But once again, we're disappointed in our offense. And all of the stats look great. It's just not productive when we need productivity. Like Dirk Cutter, it's like he kept just handing the ball to Gurley up the middle. It's like all he was doing, he was running the ball just to run the ball, not necessarily to get yards or wear down the defense or anything. He was just running it just to say, oh well, I'm trying to run the ball, but it's like, dude, when we earlier in the game when we did some kind of zone runs off the edge, we had some success. Why is it that you just go run straight up the gut like we have this power run team, and not to mention that fourth down call where he tries to go to Brian Hill, and it was just like, dude, like everybody and their mama knew that ball was going exactly where it was going. It's no creativity with
like you said that there's like no psychology in his play calls. Like he doesn't do anything to set up anything else. It's like everything's just the play that we're running at that second.
Now I can't necessarily be mad about some of the fourth down calls. Like the run to Brian Hill was a terrible play call. It was just too predictable. The fake punt probably would have worked if Sherrod Naismith didn't just drop the ball.
Yeah, he just dropped it.
Or if you had anybody like a running back or somebody else who's used to carrying the ball back there, it probably would have worked.
But that's the only. So if we have 4 that we failed on, right? That was the only one that should have been called. All the other ones, it was like if you just pin them deep in their own territory, then it's more
you had the one where we were deep in their territory, and Matt tried to roll out and just got ran down from behind.
Okay, I'll give you that one, but still.
And then the last one we had to go for it on fourth, and Matt just threw a bullet and it was like, dude, he was so open. If you would just kind of put a little touch on it, it might have been a huge play, but I think he just threw it a little too hard, and what's his name? Ridley tried to lay out, and it went right through his hands.
Was that a third down or was that a fourth down?
That was fourth.
That was a fourth down.
Okay.
I'm a big believer in analytics. And you should fucking go for it on fourth down if you're past the 50-yard line. The problem is that you should also go for it on fourth down past the 50-yard line with good plays.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was the.
I don't know. I'm just, I'm just riffing here.
His interview, he was like,
that's the thing. I don't necessarily have a problem with the fourth down calls. I guess in with a team like when you're playing a good team like Seattle, you really kind of have to take some risk to potentially beat them. But that's the fourth down call. The play calls, it was just terrible. I mean, like I said, that one play. I don't know what. I didn't even see the routes. The one where Mayo wound up running down Matt Ryan on that play. Don't remember the routes, but it's like, all right, why are you calling something that Matt might have to extend the play on?
Right, and not build in the bootleg.
Exactly. And then you got the fourth, like I said, the fourth down, that last fourth down, that one was kind of on Matt. You could have put more touch on it. If you put more touch on it, it would have been a more catchable ball. But other than that, like I can't knock them. I like the fake punt. And actually, I like the fake punt. But like I said, you just the wrong person. You put the wrong person back there to execute it. So, but other than that, I mean, there were some bright spots, things that we can be encouraged about as Falcons fans.
No projection right now. Only.
Oh, okay.
Only.
It was just that was my biggest thing. It was offense wasn't consistent enough. Too many 3-and-outs, 4-and-outs, and you put your defense out on the field way too long, and eventually they wore down, and you give up 38 points and an almost perfect completion rating to to Russell Wilson. So
I'll touch on a couple things of what each of you said. Lionel, you mentioned the creativity of the offense with Shanahan. And how many times do you guys remember when we would get the ball on like the 8, the 10, like or inside the 20 in that Shanahan offense, and you didn't have a worry in the world? You're like,
our special teams would just lay down.
Yeah, special Weems would fair catch it, and we'd be stuck on the 9. And wait, was he our?
No,
Yeah. No, it was.
We had
was it that year?
Hankerson and
It wasn't Weems
Devontae
the
did
Super
some
Bowl
kickoff. No, Weems wasn't on the team by the time we got Shanny.
Who was the one who in the Super Bowl in that last remember it was in the Super Bowl and he tried to field the who was that? Who was our kick returner that year?
God, I don't remember. He wasn't good. I know that much.
We haven't
Anyway,
had a good
one
return
year
specialist in
had,
years.
Since Hester.
Andre Robertson.
I think he was. I think he was 17.
Yeah, I think he was
the
a year
next
after.
season.
Okay.
Anyway, whoever it was, they weren't good. And we would be pinned deep. And then, 9 minutes later, we just ran off a 16-play drive where we just picked apart the defense and we were in the end zone. You don't get that with Cutter. You don't get that I don't want to say the dink and dunk offense, but methodically picking apart what they give you defense. Cutter is of the same belief system as Sark, kind of as my offense is going to impose its will on your defense, which you can't do too much. Like you can do it with like a Pat Mahomes and a Tyreek Hill because they both have the ability to break a defense by extending the play.
It was Weems, by the way. It was.
It was? Okay. That's what I thought.
I'm mad that you
Julio
told
can
me
do
I was
that on his
wrong.
own, but Matt just doesn't have the arm strength and the mobility to really extend a play like that. As far as the defense goes, the defense is giving me a lot of hope. A lot of hope. Grady Jarrett is a man-child. He was pushing around that entire offensive line. Tack McKinley is motivated, and I mean motivated. He is letting everyone know on Instagram too that he's like, I'm not here for you. You're coming around and liking me this year bullshit. Like, I'm me, and I don't want to hear this shit. I'm gonna get my 10 to 15 sacks. It's a contract year. He and Fowler are gonna really, really be good for us. Tack McKinley had 6 of our 10 quarterback hits that game. Dion looked really good. Kiki kind of concerns me. I know I brought it up during the game, but he was just not his normal nose around the ball type self. It could be adjusting to that dime backer position, but that's not too different than what he ran in our 4-3 over system.
I think he's just a step slow.
I think he's a little scared right now too. I think it's going to take a
putting
couple.
everything on his knees.
Yeah, his knees and his Achilles. I don't think he quite trusts it. And being someone who's had multiple lower body injuries, it takes a long time before you can trust him again. And you never really, really do. It's always in the back of your mind somewhere. But I think all of our problems lie with Dirk Cutter. 100% lie with Dirk Cutter. He thinks he's too smart, and I'm not going to extend this much too longer because we've all said a lot about it, and there's not much else I can say. Matt Ryan can get us there. The run game can get us there if the right things are there, but the only thing that concerns me about the run game is Alex Mack looks a step slow this year. He does not have that same explosiveness off the ball to really get to that second level, and that's why you saw blanking on his name there, Bobby Wagner blowing up plays in the middle, getting there because Alex Mack on those dives, as bad of calls as they were and as telegraphed as they were in those 11 and 12 sets, Alex Mack's job is to chip that tackle and get to that second level and blow up that blitzer that is coming in. He could not do it that game. I rewatched a couple of those plays, and there were opportunities there that Alex Mack missed. Age might be finally starting to show in him, so we'll see. But the only reason they scored 38 points is because of Dirk Cutter. I mean, that's just – we gave up 14 points, really, that were that were legitimate.
So, like, I think for me the most telling thing, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Ryan, but I can sum up the Dirt Cutter experience in one hypothetical situation. So we're facing a Seahawks defense that is consistently very good. Right? Like, even when they're not like great, they're consistently good. They can get pressure on the quarterback, but their real strength is their linebacker core and the secondary. Dirt Cutter going up against this defense has no motion, no anything to try to figure. Like, even if it was the first play of the game, right? He didn't move a tight end across the formation to figure out what kind of coverage they're in. He didn't do any of that. So now Matt, because he's like, okay, so we're gonna play, deep curls. All right, go. Matt's gonna snap the ball. And now he has to not only read the defense, which, Seattle's very good at playing defense and disguising their looks. He has to read the defense. He has to progress through his reads, and he has to get the ball out in what is never going to be a long amount of time. Like, he's not just hanging out.
And Matt Ryan had a really good point about this is Seattle is doing a lot of things that they don't normally do because of Jamal Adams. And this was also an unscouted game. This is everything they threw at you defensively. This game was unscouted because there's no preseason and they have brand new pieces. So that's
why you need the pre-snap stuff, right?
That's exactly another reason as to why that's so important.
Yeah, it feels like hubris to me, to think that, like, I'm not scared of any defense. Like, he's not pragmatic at all. Like, it's all about like his ego and not about winning football games, and that's embarrassing.
Go watch Cutter's post-game interview on when they were talking to him about fourth downs and the play calling, and how he was talking about how smart he actually is.
I'm fine.
I don't want
I'm not going to.
It just is exactly what you're talking about.
Sounds like a certain president.
All right, so we could go on and on and on and on about this game. Luckily, it's only one game. It's a long, long season. We get an extra game this year too. I'm going to lead this one off as far as I believe this is the 7. We're going to 17 this year. Or I know
they're adding the playoff game, but it's still 16.
Okay. And I know there's a lot that they were like, yeah, we're going to do it. No, we're not going to do it. Yeah, we're going to do it. Right, I know for a fact there's an extra wild card.
Yeah, next year 17, I think.
Okay. So we got 15 to go. If we drop 2 or 3 more of these this year, it's still a good year. It's a great year, actually. But as far as what I saw this game, the defense is going to be better. They gave up a lot of yards. It is not, as far as if you're like a lot of these Atlanta fans who watch the highlights and only look at box scores, it's going to be like, oh, the defense got torched.
Or how you see that every single clip compilation of someone breaking an offensive record features Atlanta defense in at least one part. Right. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I have noticed that.
NFL Films presents Atlanta cornerbacks falling down.
You've got a young secondary, but there is reason to have faith that the defense will also get better. Marlon Davidson, your second overall pick, did not play. Kendall Sheffield really could be a 2 or a 3 corner for us, did not play. And one person that a lot of the coordinators have been saying that it looks really good in camp this year and was a former first-round pick, Charles Harris, who will give us someone to cycle in when Tack and Fowler get gassed later in the game as an extra pass rusher, did not play. So there were 3 very important bodies that did not play in that game, and Kiki is in his first game back. So the defense is going to get better. The offense, I think looked the way it did because of what the play calls were and set the defense up in bad positions. It was just those 4 play calls screwed us over for the entire game. So I have a lot of faith that the defense is going to be much improved, and I have faith that the offense is what it is.
Yeah.
Anybody can take it from here.
That sounds like 8-8.
Nah.
I'm gonna I'm going to revise my choice from earlier. I think we go 6-10. I think we get worse. I think we get worse because that was against a Seattle team that couldn't scout, right? I think that we start getting desperate as the year goes on. And I think other teams are going to start smelling blood in the water, and they're going to know what's going to work against us as far as stifling the offense. And this being a weird year, I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room. And we've seen Cutter with supremely talented offensive staffs. And I'm just not. I know that was just one game, Ryan, but like I remember our schedule, and we have to play Carolina twice with Teddy, who looks really good, in a team that we haven't played before. Like they completely rebuilt the makeup of that team, and they should still be pretty stout defensively. We have to play New Orleans twice. You don't think so?
Their defense is going to be their weak point by far. They're way too young, and
they gave 30 to Oakland. To Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's Vegas now. Vegas, baby. We have to play New Orleans twice.
That's
which
tough.
They have a good defense.
Yeah,
a really good defense.
Dennis Allen calls the shit out of that defense. And as much as Michael Thomas is going to be playing with a high ankle sprain, they still have those, anonymous Saints receivers. And didn't they sign Emmanuel Sanders?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're fucked. I can't wait to play Tom Brady, but I just think that he's going to beat us. That we will be his redemption games at the end of the season. And so if we go winless in the NFC South, we're already at 9-7 now because we lost our opening game. And do you really think that we can steal all of the other games, especially when we have to play Kansas City?
I think we'll do. I think we'll fare. Our talent will get us some wins. And I think there was a lot of in that game. The two plays that really blew that game open were the Rico PI, and then that falling asleep on that fourth down. Those two just blew the game open, like especially that fourth down. That fourth down play just was the dagger in our heart. So I don't think that this will necessarily – I don't think we should be that pessimistic about what happened in that game, considering no preseason, no nothing. Even though I'm not going to sit here and say preseason games matter at all. I'm not. But I just think that there's something to say about bubble ball starting, you're going against the MVP of the league. Or COVID ball starting and go against the MVP of the league. So I'm still optimistic, and yeah.
Micah.
I'm optimistic. Like I said, while Dirk Cutter is very depressingly bad, I still think our defense can be good enough where if our offense can just be solid, I don't think that we're going to play a lot of teams with enough consistency. Like Dallas. Dallas offense didn't look good at all. And that's our next game. So, I think we can, if we can hold their run down and just do what we did, even with our struggles, I think we can beat like Dallas, Chicago. Some of these teams, it's like their offenses aren't that impressive to me. So now, granted, when we get down the stretch, then it's going to be a problem. But I think we have enough talent that on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball that we could stay afloat potentially. And
Dallas
so I think
the hog mollies like they used
to.
So Dallas doesn't have the hog mollies like they used to.
No, but they held their own pretty well.
But
against...
even still, like Dak was very underwhelming.
They lost by 3 to Aaron Donald.
That's a really good front seven, though.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Is they only lost by 3.
Yeah, but it wasn't even just that. I mean, like I said, down the stretch though. I mean, like that last drive, it was driving me crazy because it was like, I had Dak starting in one of my fantasy leagues, and it was just hitch routes. Like, dude, you need to be looking to drive the ball downfield, and you're throwing 5 and 6 yard hitch routes to Amari. You're trying to force the ball to Amari Cooper. Like, dude, you got to take a shot. Stop, dinking and dunking and start looking downfield. I mean, so
how is that the game plan against Aaron Donald though? Like when you're playing against a front seven that's that good, Dak went 25 of 39 for 266 yards and a TD toss. And Ezekiel Elliott had 22 carries for 96 yards. He averaged 4.4 yards per carry.
Which is actually really good. But
they're playing Jared Goff.
They're playing the LA defense.
This is my thing though. It's like you have all of these weapons. Amari Cooper is a very good receiver. Gallup's a very good receiver. You drafted CD Lamb. Now, granted, I know Blake Jarwin he tore his knee up some way. I forgot exactly what he did, and he's out for the season. He did that fairly early, but it's like, dude, you got weapons. And now, granted, they kind of got hosed on the pass interference call late, but it was like, like Dak was just too cautious, I want to say. And it just, I feel like their offense didn't impress me. Like, so many people are high on them and put them as like Super Bowl front runners from the NFC. I didn't see it. I mean, their defense looked fairly solid, but I mean, like that's just for the next game. I'm talking about so I think we could beat them based off, even with Dirk Cutter calling offensively. I just think our offense is good enough to put up points against them because their secondary is not very good. Goff was throwing all over them.
To wrap this up, because we've been going on about the Falcons now for about 25 minutes alone. I will say that the first game is we actually split down the middle. Marco said win, I said loss. Micah said win, Lionel said loss with the Seahawks. So this is a game that, as a group, we didn't have a lot of confidence in. We were 50-50 on. This next game, the only person that said we were going to lose to the Cowboys is Marco. Micah said we're going to win by 25. So I think we'll bounce back, but we'll see. Let's move it on down the road.
Break.
Yeah, let's break here. This seems like a logical point considering we went on an hour and a half about football.
Cool. We'll be back.
Hey friends, welcome back from the break.
Welcome.
This is Fish and Grits, the podcast. Football makes me sad. But one of the things that makes me sadder is Donald Trump. Now, we hate on the current sitting president a lot on this show because it's easy and also because it's our patriotic duty to do so. And there are some pretty troubling things about this administration that if you talk about them too much, like the forced hysterectomies of detained migrant women, where they're taking them from the ICE concentration camps and having their uteruses removed so that they can't reproduce. It's some real Nazi shit around here. And it's looking pretty sketchy, but there is hope. We are currently in the middle of a presidential campaign, and our fearless leader, Donald J. Trump, he of the Bob Woodward interview, he of the bad spray tan. We're pausing because Micah might be back. Maybe not.
Back in black.
He has come up with this idea to have Joe Rogan moderate a presidential debate. And I have some thoughts with the capital T on that. The first thought that I have is that would be a 5-hour presidential debate. Like no actual person is gonna watch that, right? Like
I would. Just
Ryan might watch
because
it.
it's 2020 and Joe Rogan moderate.
What else are you gonna do,
Right. Like this would never happen again. I'm gonna watch it.
Now it would be like 5 or 6 hours long, and they would totally lose the thread. And it's a recipe for disaster for a number of reasons. I think the second reason why it's a recipe for disaster is that Donald Trump thinks that it would give him like a less hostile moderator, right?
Right. He thinks it's an advantage.
Well, I think he thinks it's an advantage over a normal news moderator for one reason, which is that Joe Rogan is less likely to tell Donald Trump that he's lying, whereas literally everyone else will. Joe Rogan lets people live their own truth, you know?
God, he does.
And so people say, like, Alex Jones is like, yeah, man, the space aliens, they did Sandy Hook. And Joe Rogan's like, word.
Tell me more.
I hadn't thought about that. But I think Donald Trump should be careful what he wishes for here, for two reasons. The first one is that Joe Rogan can be, when he wants to be, a very adept interviewer and can make people say things that they probably shouldn't say. So if Joe Rogan comes into this with any sort of agenda, and I don't know Joe's politics. I don't even know if he knows what politics are.
It's tough to say what Joe's I mean, I'd say that he's like a liberal conservative.
He did say he was going to vote for Bernie.
Yeah, like
Right.
I said, he's a liberal conservative, I think.
So if Joe comes out with any sort of like, I want to embarrass the president, Donald Trump is fucked. But I think the biggest reason why Donald Trump should be worried about this is the type of people who would watch a Joe Rogan debate and take anything from that debate to help them figure out their political opinions are the same people who watch 3 hours of Joe Rogan podcasts on YouTube. And those motherfuckers do not vote. So Donald Trump would have like 96% of the stoned college kids that forgot to register because they're too busy doing Zoom classes at Stanford or whatever. It's a bad idea. So my advice, Mr. President, I like Joe Rogan. I like him because he was in that Chappelle Show sketch with the Fear Factor thing. Joe Rogan. I like that. Mr. President, instead of having a debate with Joe Rogan, why don't you just stop being such a miserable piece of shit of a human being?
That'd be a lot harder.
That's
than
a big
trying
ask,
to
man.
with Joe Rogan.
I mean, everyone on this podcast has made it over 30 years without being a miserable piece of shit. You know, Mr. President, if you're listening to this podcast, which I know, like Michael Thomas, you don't like it when people talk about you. So you are listening to this podcast. But Mr. President, why don't you just take credit for the ideas of everyone else, right? Bring Mattis back. Bring all those guys back from the beginning. You know what I mean? Grab John Kasich, grab some other normal politicians. They come up with good Republican ideas that don't involve, you know, ripping children away from their parents and putting them in concentration camps at the border. You know, they'll say things like we should wear masks, and then, you know, my whole life won't be ruined by COVID. And you can take credit for it, Mr. President. You can take credit for the good ideas of everyone else, because that's what a leader does. And you could say my administration fixed COVID. But instead of saying things like we have really good ratings.
Is Micah frozen again, or is he just looking very sternly?
Oh, he's
Looks like he's
frozen.
Oh, he's back. That's my plea. Sorry, I know that wasn't nearly as funny as I wanted it to be, but I'm legit exhausted by 2020 right now.
Yeah,
no
no doubt.
We saved it for you, though.
Anyway, something cool is happening right now. It's the Heat and the Celtics are playing
They just finished.
playoff series, or they finished. Did
Yeah.
Miami win?
Yep. Jason Tatum. So Jimmy hit the go-ahead bucket and hit the free throw. Then Jason Tatum tried to come back on the other end and got swatted by Bam on a dunk attempt.
Yeah, that was a
So I'm all in on the Miami Heat right now because the Celtics did me dirty and knocked my Raptors out of the playoffs. Like, I'm not going to get a Nick Nurse finals anymore. You know, that upsets me. Also, I think the storyline now, you know, the NBA is going to, in 7 games, the Celtics are going to win because it has to be Lakers Celtics because it's the NBA.
Yeah,
right.
No, you're right.
But the storyline of Spoelstra versus LeBron, right?
Redemption.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
to
was
talk
Go ahead.
to talk to us about all things shooty hoops. Let's hit that layup with Marco Restrepo. What's up, bro?
Let me talk out. Get talk out.
Shoot the
Sorry.
J.
Eventually I'm actually have some intro music. That was supposed to be like a tense basketball moment after a whistle.
You know, we don't have a sound effects budget, so
We'll get there.
win on 3.
I'll
1,
get
2,
a
3,
board.
win.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so this is the layup, aka the finger roll, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint. That's probably my favorite one, just because
Nice, I like that one.
points in the paint. So we got a couple things, like Lionel just said. The Celtics,
The green people.
the green folks, advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals and beat the Raptors 4-3 in a grueling series against 2 5'11" scoring guards, and they finally made it past them and dashed Lionel's hope of keeping the NBA global as possible. And so now they're facing the Miami Heat, and they lost that first game, like we just said. And the Miami Heat are looking strong. So preview of this series, obviously Jimmy Butler has been, balling out of his mind. He has all the grit that you could possibly want. Like, he has the mentality of the 90s, maybe not the skills to match it, but to me, he's probably the most 90s-like player in the NBA today. And that alone has willed his Miami team to this conference finals, along with the shooting, obviously, and all these young guys around him. But Boston has grit too. On their end, they have Marcus Smart, who is another strong, gritty mentality player. Obviously not as skilled, but he has stuff to offer. So I want to put this series, this Celtics Miami series, on the table for y'all, and y'all tell me how y'all think this is going to unfold. Ryan.
It's going 6. And I'm still sticking with my dark horse of the East.
Boston.
With the Celtics, yeah. I mean, they had it. They essentially pulled the Clippers. They were leading all the way up until the last 2 minutes of the game here.
Yep.
Tatum's a beast.
He
and
is.
that team is built perfectly. Perfect. The only thing they don't have is big men.
And Gordon's still not there. He's
that's
back
the
in
thing
the
that's
bubble.
scary. Once Gordon comes back, that's just going to take – because they'll probably just keep him on the bench. They'll use him as like a bench scorer, which is going to put them on par with the Heat as far as bench scoring goes. But Bam will probably give them problems. But if the Celtics do advance to the Lakers, they're going to get thrashed on the inside.
I think the Celtics might have a better shot against the Lakers than the Heat would. I think either team would get thrashed by the Clippers, but I think the Celtics, just because they have so much versatility on the wing, that they might have might go 6 against the Lakers or something like that.
Who's stopping it? AD and Dwight and down low on those pick and
But the
rolls?
thing is that if you can shoot, you don't necessarily have to stop your big man.
But
I mean,
the Heat are better shooters than the Celtics.
Wait. I thought you said who's.
I said the Celtics would not fare well.
Do you think
against
the Heat would
Lakers.
fare better against the Lakers? Well, to me, I just think the age thing would catch. Oh, we're jumping ahead of ourselves. So, Micah, what
It's
is
playoff basketball, man. No one plays defense except LeBron.
right, Micah? What do you think? What's your take on this series here? Is Micah there?
Micah's mad again, frozen.
Lionel, go ahead. Utah.
He's sick of me slandering the president. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I have watched 0 minutes of basketball since game 1 of the Celtics Raptors. There's been soccer back, and
Global soccer, like world soccer.
Yeah, just in general, there's soccer. There's so much soccer. So I haven't watched the NBA. So I'm going to give you my hot takes based purely on what I learned from Twitter and listening to you guys talk and my preconceived notions about how good certain teams are. For those of you who are not watching the YouTube feed, we lost Micah again. Someone needs to get him the internet.
Yeah, that laptop you showed us in the picture, he needs an upgrade.
Right. He's like, this is all I could see right now. And I was like, what why are you looking at a picture of an old laptop?
Right. Is that like a Palm Pilot? What the hell is that?
Somebody get my man's a Chromebook like right now. Like they just came out with a new iPad. Let's hook him up. Hey buddy.
Hey, you're back.
Yeah.
We were shitting on your old laptop.
It's not the laptop, it's the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
You need to get that mesh network, my G. So I'm gonna call this based purely on preconceived notions and like I watched Space Jam and stuff like that, So I think it's gonna be Celtics in 7 because the NBA is rigged. But I think the Heat are gonna deserve it more.
Hey, pound the screen for that one because I agree with that.
Jimmy's a try-hard guy, but he's also like absolutely fucking relentless. Every time he's on the court, that man just does not stop. Spoelstra's a hell of a coach. They're dynamic. They're good on defense. The Heat are if LeBron wasn't playing for the Lakers, it would be different. But I think especially in COVID, the league likes to put their finger on the scale just a wee bit sometimes. I think we're going to see that Lakers Celtics in 7 on like a really bad call at the end of game 7.
People are like, God, right?
Yeah.
So
you know
the whole
what I mean?
topic, so if they can put up the whole topic on all the debate shows, like, what is the NBA rigged?
Right, but they're like everyone's talking about it. Like Jimmy's like, we got robbed, but it is what it is. As he's getting like evicted from the bubble, like they've got like the sheriff out there. Yeah, he's got all the stuff in a box. He's got his little like bonsai tree in there. Yeah, I think it'll be controversy, and legitimately, I don't see any problem with either of those teams from the East going to the finals. I don't have a problem with it. I think they both deserve it. I think they're strong teams. I do agree with Ryan that they're going to get run by the Lakers big men, specifically Anthony Davis. I think this Lakers team was built to beat this Celtics team. Like if there was a worse finals matchup, I don't know what it is.
Especially since the Lakers have found that small ball lineup, man. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, like
that lineup is so good.
Don't play Dwight. Don't play JaVale.
I think that's one of the underrated aspects of this Lakers team is how they adapt to their opponent once they get a little bit of data, a little bit of experience.
And gee whiz, LeBron has a good coach again. Gee whiz. LeBron's actually like listening to his coaches. Micah, go ahead. Since you got disconnected the first time, give me your insight into this series.
I say Heat in 7. I think I really like this Heat team. I think their guards they're so deep at guard and wing scorer, and Bam is a beast. I think Bam will be a big difference in this series, considering what's in it, Tim's or they're big, the Celtics big.
Eric Tim's
Tice.
Yeah.
Tice, yeah. Sorry.
Tice. Tice. He's not stopping Bam at all. I don't even know if he can stop the former Celtic
Olynyk.
I don't even think he can handle Olynyk. I think the bigs will be a problem for it, things like rebounding. I think Miami will kill them on the boards. offensive rebounds, and they're going to get a lot of second chance points, and so on and so forth. I do think Boston is. I think they have more talent, but I think Miami. I think I like Spoelstra better than I do Brad Stevens, and I think down the stretch and plus I think they're a better matchup for the Lakers in a 7-game series. I just think they're shooting. They have too much shooting, and you got a dog like Jimmy Butler. He's not going to be afraid to, muscle with LeBron. He's not strong as LeBron, but he's not going to be afraid to get in LeBron and try and get in his head a little bit. So
I feel that. So wait, Ryan, you got something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say the Heat also have Butler to throw at LeBron. They have Iggy and they have Jay Crowder.
True.
Going Iggy at someone is not saying much these days. But so I like my heart and like I said, the Heat have sort of been my team that I've been on since we started this podcast. But like Lionel said, I wouldn't bet the Heat make the finals just because I see the path for the Celtics and the narrative. Even though like I think it'd be a nice narrative to have LeBron playing his old team. I think that would be a cool narrative too in his old coach and his old situation. But having that Celtics, especially with Kobe in mind and how Kobe took down the Celtics, for his last championship, and for LeBron to do that, and the storylines against the Celtics are too good. It's too Netflix.
I'm going to watch the shit out of one of those games.
30 for 30.
Exactly. You can see 20 years from now that being a special. So like I said, I want the Heat to win, but I can't pick against the Celtics just because the NBA is funky like that.
Marco, how disappointed are you that we are watching this series, right? Mm-hmm. Spoelstra, Stevens, Heat, Celtics, two heavyweights, right? Heavyweight teams in the East. And we are framing it entirely on who's going to lose to LeBron in the finals. Like we're not even excited about because whoever wins the series is going to have a chance at the finals, we're not even thinking about that. It's all like they're going to have a chance to lose to LeBron.
I mean, it's just the NBA serves us that shit. I mean, we just as fans, we know better. But then, I mean, not to mention the Lakers are genuinely really good and the Clippers are genuinely really good. So I just think when we look at the East, we see scrappy, nice teams, but nobody in America is really giving them a real shot.
You're giving the Clippers a lot of weight here that they may not make it to the next round.
Let's not act like this is new though. I mean, think about it. For the past 10 years, it's pretty much whoever makes it in the West is going to destroy whoever makes it out of the East.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, outside of the LeBron Heat teams, but I mean, once Golden State got into power, it was just like, does anybody really have a chance? Then when they got KD, it was like nobody has a chance. And I mean, Toronto stole the one last year, but it took, almost the entire big three from Golden State to get hurt for them to really get that. So,
I think for me, it's the problem is with the types of teams that we have in the East right now, right? Like, LeBron couldn't get past anybody in the finals until he made his own team with Pat Riley. The Celtics did it with Doc and their big three, but they only did it the once.
Yeah.
And it wasn't against Golden State, or it wasn't a
terrible coach.
I mean,
went twice. Doc went twice.
Yeah, he lost one.
One, lost one. Now, granted, I think that second one they got hosed, but whatever.
They got
Whatever.
hosed. Kobe had like a broken hand and still beat them.
Yeah, the Lakers overcame a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter, all at the free throw line. Didn't hit a layup or anything.
Listen, this series was back before I knew that Donald Trump was anything more than a character in Home Alone 2. So like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It doesn't matter in 2020. All that matters is that I'm going to for the first time in my life be that guy who stands on a soapbox and complains about the super team setup
Right.
in this league.
Breaking news.
What?
Mohamed Sanu signed with Kyle Shanahan. Yep.
Okay. Well, he's going to be used well. So
Pencil the Niners in.
I think the Seahawks still got the Niners though. Like
Mohamed Sanu is going to be quarterback.
right before it's all said and done.
You know, I can't wait till Mohamed Sanu has a higher quarterback rating than Jared Goff and
Tom Brady.
So Marco, we were talking about how the Clips might not make it out. The Nuggets, man, the Nuggets get down 3 games and they take it personally.
Yeah, they just start coming back. Jamal and Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. starts yapping his mouth, and next thing you know, it's a game 7. Like, what the hell?
QAnon Kobe.
Right. So like moving on. So the Lakers won their series fairly easy against the destructible Rockets, who we'll get to in a second. We'll get a little bit deeper into the Rockets at the end of this segment.
Choke.
Like Ryan said, they adjusted their lineup to play with that flawed team. Put all their big men on a boat and just let them stay
a banana boat.
They let them go golfing and whatever they were doing while this was happening.
Man, they're all at Galaxy's Edge. They're all at the Star Wars resort right now. Right. Come on, dude. Or there's did you hear about that Avatar ride? You can ride one of those like lizard bird things. Have a blue tail.
And then they will face the winner of this incredible Clippers Nuggets series, which is, like a 1-point game right now, and it's probably going to be that way until the end. So it's I don't know what we can really say because we don't really know what's going to happen with this Clippers Nuggets game. We just know that the Lakers were dominant, and now we can get into wait, what does this say? They stormed back. Okay, you already sort of said that. Now we can just get into the hijinks that happened with the Houston Rockets. So first.
Wow.
Before anything else happened, Danuel House bonked the COVID girl in his room and got cannoned out of they ejected him in one of those cartoon cannons out of the bubble.
Some say he's still orbiting the planet to this day.
It like bulges at the bottom before he shoots
right.
out.
It's like, why couldn't he just wait? Did Danuel House do that because he knew they were going to get eliminated anyway? And he's like, why should
it was like a staff member, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
one of the testers, the COVID testers.
Which I wasn't clear. Do the COVID testers come every day or do they stay in the bubble? I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah,
I want to say they stay in the bubble, but I mean,
and he tried to say he was trying to get some COVID test in his room
for 8 hours.
Ladies.
At 2 a.m.
hours.
She better have been bad. That's all I'm saying. Because
that bubble, it's she's a bubble 8,
bruh. Yeah, I was about to say when you've been away from people that long.
It's not like Lou. Like he didn't take a Lou Williams break to run by Magic City really quick to remember what he's working with. You know what I mean? Like it's a bubble 8. He
was like, I gots to have it.
Oh,
and like she was like, let me swab the inside of let me get your spit because they're doing the spit test, right?
Right.
Like,
he could have just waited 2 more days and flown her out anywhere in the country
because they're gonna get ejected.
He could have just gone home to his wife, who found out this way that she just had been.
Oh, he's married
with 3 kids.
No.
He's married with 3 kids.
Oh no! In the bubble. That's the last place you do it because everyone is calling Chris Paul.
They had odds on who snitched on him.
LeBron
was the clear favorite on all of them.
Is he?
The Tony Romo? The Tony Romo Corona hotline that they're not doing this year for some reason. It's Chris Paul for snitching, but it's legit. It's literally Chris Paul sitting in like a PBS like fundraising phone bank. You know, all these phones that are like ringing. He picks up. He's like, "Hello." It's like, guess who took the tester girl back into his room for some COVID?
Right. He has Carlton in there to help him field some calls.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the real Chris Paul.
That's probably who it is. It's not Chris Paul at all. It's
Oh man,
Goes
he
directly to.
just relays the call to Adam Silver.
oh man.
So yeah, Danuel House could probably be our loser of the week because I don't think we have another one. It's like I did not
he's
know he
pretty
was
deserving.
married. Come on, bro. Like, how could you? How everybody is watching you? How could you cheat on? That's so embarrassing. Anyway, so more shenanigans with the Houston Rockets. D'Antoni is out, so he decided to quit preemptively, even though we all knew he was going to get fired. And he's gone. Where should D'Antoni go next, guys?
Europe.
The Knicks.
Back to the
He's
Knicks.
been there before.
I mean,
It's the circle of life.
someone's gonna give that man a job.
He's like 70 something now, right?
So
I know, right? That doesn't mean shit.
Send him
I know,
down
I'm
to
just trying to
Orlando.
Phil Jackson, the Lakers almost hired Phil Jackson, and he wouldn't coach away games.
Right.
And they were like, let me think about it.
Oh,
Phil's like, all right, $5 million a year, and I won't coach away games at all. And Jeannie
They were,
Buss is
thinking
like,
about it.
She's like, that's
I'm gonna get back to you.
41.
right.
Probably
yeah.
win 35 of them.
Right. So no takers for D'Antoni. No
Orlando,
viable
man.
places. Orlando.
Yeah,
they're pretty set.
D'Antoni's going to end up somewhere, a team that has some talented pieces, but that underperforms,
Should the Lakers should LeBron just add him to the Lakers
like the
coaching
Jazz.
staff, like everybody else?
Not to
Wait,
be.
Didn't D'Antoni coach in LA?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he disappointed Kobe before Phil came back.
Did he? I forgot about that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He was there to coach Steve Nash and Dwight and all them together.
You want to
Yeah, yeah.
see a team that would be really built for running. They wouldn't shoot threes as much, but they'd get out and run.
Who, Phoenix?
No. The Jazz.
Oh yeah, but they have a good coach.
That's what Lionel just said.
Yeah,
I
did?
did say the Jazz.
Oh, well, I wasn't listening to you.
Houston had a good coach. It's not about D'Antoni being an actual upgrade over your good coach who can't get you over the hump. It's about D'Antoni convincing you that he can get you
No,
over
I'm
the
sorry,
hump.
not the Jazz. The fucking Pelicans. I'm thinking.
Oh, okay,
New
okay.
Orleans.
Oh, Nollins.
Yeah.
Collins. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
not-
that would be perfect with Lonzo. Oh man,
They're trying to get Lonzo out of there. I heard Phoenix-
D'Antoni can turn him into the next Steph Curry. That's what he's gonna say.
right.
He's like, look, they're both light skinned.
Right.
Could you imagine
Taller.
Zion getting out and running in that system?
I don't
I
think
hope
D'Antoni actually runs a system.
Play basketball. Fast break. Go.
Run. 7
3-pointers.
seconds.
That's the
7
thing. About,
seconds or less.
and that's
Do
the
your
thing about-
best Klay Thompson impression.
I guess you could use Drew Holiday, but who's the guy who's just going to dribble the hell out the ball at the top of the key? Because D'Antoni needs always one of those guys.
Lonzo.
BI if he comes back.
Yeah.
Nah, I
Lonzo-
like B on the wing. I think Lonzo just dribble, penetrate, and kick it.
Right. He can turn him into Steve.
You're gonna be
Nash.
our next. Yeah, exactly.
Since you can't shoot, just dribble and penetrate and kick it out.
You can be
God.
our Westbrook.
He's
Right.
coming around. It's coming around, man. Yeah, I don't think anybody talked enough about Houston's liabilities before this series started. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like, you know, they're really talented, they're really small, but like you have like emotional and karmic liabilities on that team. Like Mike D'Antoni is cursed.
He's a choker. James Harden's a
Yeah,
choker.
James Harden, but Russell Westbrook, I saw an article that was like that Russell Westbrook compliments no one.
No, he really does.
Like he's like the worst. He's a really good basketball player, right?
That's
Like if
great.
you're playing one-on-one, he's gonna fucking smoke you. But as soon as you add a teammate, it's over.
It's gonna just so and then the last of our segment of this segment and more Houston shenanigans last but not least Rondo's brother was talking trash to our boy who we were just talking about, the emotionally unstable Russell Westbrook, and he probably got in his head, and they tossed him out. They actually cannoned him at the bubble as well.
Well, isn't his brother's name like William?
It's Will Rondo. I forget.
It's something like that. Which like I have two.
Tim
Like,
Rondo, Jack Rondo. I don't know.
I think it's like William. It's like Rondo with a mustache, like a fake mustache on, and he's like, "Boo, you suck, Westbrook." That was Rajon Rondo. Number 2, that is one of the funniest.
Yeah, it is William.
William, yeah. So you have William and Rajon. Like, that's my favorite sibling name pair that I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's perfect. It's like that mom named one and dad named the other one. Like
Will Rondo looks like Daz from the Dog Pound. It looks just like that fool. Uh-oh.
That's him,
okay.
apparently.
There goes Will.
That's Rondo in a fat suit talking shit to Westbrook.
I know, right? He just doubled up, put on some prosthetics and came.
Wow. He was hitting that bubble buffet.
So my question about that is it okay to talk trash to a player who is clearly better than your brother?
Is he though?
I have another question for you, Marco.
Ryan's question is legitimate though.
Which of those players is still in the bubble? And which of those players is orbiting the planet right now? Because they're both backup point guards on a Western Conference team.
So, would you take Westbrook, triple-double Westbrook, or Boston Celtics Rondo?
Rondo. I'm on the
Celtics
record
Rondo.
as saying Rondo is one of the best pure point guards
One of the
in
smartest
NBA
players
history.
ever.
Yeah.
I'd take Rondo 10 times out of 10 over Westbrook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chris Paul's triple-double is all in garbage time anyway. Fuck that guy.
Celtics Rondo couldn't shoot, but I'd take 9 and 12 from him any day.
You're saying self-check can shoot?
Oh,
Westbrook.
Westbrook. Here's the thing. Westbrook is going to score 20, but it's going to take him 35 shots to do it. Rondo is going to score 9 on like 10 shots, but he's going to have like 12 to 14 assists. So I'll take that over 35, like drop my shoulder like a running back and into this big center and try and score over him.
Brody played with Carmelo and
PG.
Paul George in
And
Oklahoma,
got knocked
right?
out in the first round.
Last year, did any of you have Westbrook as the worst of those 3 players?
That was 2 years ago.
Over
2 years ago.
Melo and Paul George?
Yeah.
I definitely had him
I mean,
second. I've
Adam
never been a
second,
Westbrook
yeah.
fan.
Adam's second.
Oklahoma City won that trade, my man.
They sure did. Like I said, they went from a title contender to pure chaos.
I'm into it. Imagine like when like the Harden left the Thunder, right, to go to Houston. And you're like, oh, we've got Russell Westbrook. We'll be fine. Right? Like, we don't need James Harden. We've got KD and Russell Westbrook. And now James Harden is just like, what the fuck?
Well, he didn't know. No one bargained for post-COVID Westbrook. No one knew he would be as bad as he was. Like, he's the worst I've ever seen him play. So,
Man, he was a turnover and a half.
yeah, like fast break is a guaranteed turnover in this bubble. So, I don't know.
Funny. Normally you're like, man, oh, that guy's a bucket. No, he's a turnover.
He's a turnover. He's a walking turnover.
Walking turnover. Anyway, that commences the layup, aka points in the paint. I'll just do 2 right now.
AKA jelly time.
Jelly time.
time. Oh my God, I want the fucking Clippers to lose.
Same. Hey, Micah.
Why y'all want the Clippers to lose so bad?
Paul
So
George.
the Lakers can just march straight to the finals.
No, I want Paul George's
Oh,
legacy in
hold on.
tatters.
I need to talk about the Nuggets real quick because I have a really hot take on this that I've developed since watching him.
Ooh.
So you remember when the Heat lost to the Mavericks in the finals and why they did, other than the Mavericks having
LeBron
excellent defense. Not so much.
LeBron choked and LeBron would not take over as the alpha on the team, and he tried to defer to D-Wade.
Wow, that's not
LeBron
giving the
did choke.
Mavericks
Did you
credit
see
at all.
Did you?
I got it. Dirk.
I watched the entire series. Yeah,
LeBron got locked down by JJ
Dirk
Barea.
and their defense is the reason that they won that fight.
JJ Barea was locking down LeBron.
No. Dirk was on a whole nother level. Like
And Jason Terry said LeBron can't guard me, and took over the series.
Man, you had the perfect mix of veterans. You had Jason Terry. You had Jason Kidd.
And Mark Cuban was going to sue the league, so they gave him a championship.
Fine. Here, take one. So Dirk was the big reason on that. Jokic, the way he's been playing these last couple of games, now he's not quite Dirk. But the way he's been playing, man, with all these weird faders and off-balance shots and these knockdown threes that he's been hitting, looking a lot like Dirk here now that he's dropped that weight, man.
Discount Dirk.
Marco said it's because he's guarded by Zubac.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big reason, too. Zubac is fucking trash.
Man, you're trash.
Did you guys see where Brody, the video clip where Brody was like, you got to double me, and LeBron laughed in his face? Just belly laughed. LeBron was laughing. Brody's like, you better double. LeBron's like,
yeah, and the other footage. That series had a lot of gems. But when Austin Rivers accidentally hit LeBron, and he's like,
sorry, don't kill me.
LeBron was like,
Kuz's reaction was the best. Did you see it?
No.
You didn't see Kuz's oh my God. This might be worth seeing. LeBron. No.
Wait, don't share it though, because anytime our videos get demonetized when you share it.
Because we're making a lot of money off of them.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't want to get copyright strikes, man.
Yeah. Right. We have one already.
Well,
do we really have a copyright strike?
Well, it's the where they let you keep it up, so it's not technically a strike. But
he hit him off the back of the head. It bounced off his head. Kuz caught it, started doing some dribbles, and started going, but then took a shot. It doesn't sound as funny when you explain it, but you just watch it after this.
I'm looking.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. It was pretty funny. All right, thanks, Marco. So I know our show notes said that the Braves offense doesn't let up, except against the Orioles last night, where they scored one run and gave up 14. When I looked at the box score last night, Tukey had an ERA of 8.88. And Luke Jackson had an ERA of 6.52. I think we're winning against the O's right now.
Yeah, 2-0. Top of the ninth.
Yeah, they are a very interesting team right now because it feels like the O's just totally gave up on Chris Davis, which is it took them a little while to do that. I would have done a while ago, but it looks like this whole, sucking and being fucking terrible is starting to pay some dividends because they've got a bunch of kids that are up. So I don't know how in depth we need to go into the Braves right now, except to number one, appreciate that Ozzie is back and really good. And Adam Duvall had there were some stats that was his last however many hits, it was home run, double, triple, home run, whatever.
He hit another home run tonight.
He's batting 290 or something like that. It's disgusting.
On the season right now, he's at 257, but yeah, he's over 300 now in his last 13 games.
Yeah, it's gross. So I want to get the baseball section out of the way because I don't, we're closing on the end of the season. These games aren't really going to mean super much for the Braves. Because of our position in the NL East. But I have a question specifically for Micah. The Braves offense, when it's on, can put up football numbers, right?
Yeah.
When they're off, they score a run. In a 5 or 7 game series against, say, the Brewers, do you think that this team can get over having one game where they can't where they can't hit. Let's say you go game 1 against the Brewers and you come out flat and you lose 8-1.
Yeah.
Right? Can this team turn it on and win a series like that? Or are they soft and streaky and they'll start overthinking it and we're going to give up 14 runs in the first inning and I'm going to cry?
I think they can get over it. What was it? Didn't we come off a bad game and then follow up the next night by scoring like 29 runs?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they can definitely get over it. This offense
almost broke the record.
Yeah. This offense is ungodly at times. Really, like I said, our biggest problem is can we find one more starter who's not going to go out there and give up 8 runs in the first 3 innings?
Do you think at this point Snit is just sacrificing that 5th game? You
Possibly.
know, like, because he's got, we've got Fried,
Anderson,
Hamels, we can pencil in.
Hamels comes back tomorrow. He's supposed to start tomorrow.
Yeah, so we can probably pencil him in. And who's our 4th starter that we feel okay about?
Well, just however you say his name, just pitched 5 scoreless today.
Tomlin?
No. Well, yeah, Tomlin's been pitching well, actually. But
What do they do with the long hair?
YNOA. I don't know how you
Noah.
I thought we released somebody today.
Tukey. We said peace.
Oh, we did?
And Luke, didn't we option them both?
We
Or
should.
just Dookie.
No. We released somebody today.
Oh, let's see.
Like, we didn't even option them because we brought Nuke up. Nuke had to start. So I guess Newcomb's like
Robbie
your
Erlin. We released.
There you go.
Yeah, Erlin was supposed to go.
We designated him for assignment 2 days ago, then released him outright today.
Yeah, we released him outright today, which is not something that you see a lot in baseball.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, let's say you're Brian Snicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got 3 starting pitchers and maybe Sean Newcomb. But that fifth spot in the rotation is scoring whatever runs they want to forever. Do you roll like this and just sort of cycle in people for that 5th hole and accept the fact that you're going to lose 20% of the rest of the games of the season to get to the playoffs where you can put guys out with short rest? Or do you try to continue to run some of these kids up, some of our prospects, and see if you can get an actual starting pitcher for that 5th pitching place?
I think we're okay with just having that 5th game be an absolute wild card right now, because with our offense, we've only been held scoreless 3 times this season. We've scored every other game, and at historic rates as we've seen lately. Now with Ozzie coming back and Markakis, getting his rest now before the playoffs, that lineup there's not an easy out. Like,
it's dirty.
I really, really like the fact that we have Paul Bird as one of our game day announcer, or I don't know, one of personality announcer. I don't know what you call him. He's on
commentator.
Yeah, commentator. And I really trust Paul Bird's eyes and his knowledge. One thing that you will have to pay attention to as well is Kyle Wright. Even though his first game back, he did not look good. Paul Bird was saying that when Kyle Wright went down this last time, he came back up with another pitch. He actually has found a split finger that he's learned, and that's gotten him some quality out. So Kyle Wright actually might be a decent 4th or 5th option there as well. He might be what we thought he was going to be, but I think right now we're just saving the front end of our rotation's arms for the playoffs when we go to a 3-man rotation. And we're just going to pitch, if we have to, if those guys get exhausted, we can go out and do what we did there for a while with our 4th and 5th hole and just really throw an entire bullpen for the game. Have this guy come up, pitch 2 to 3 innings, this guy 2 innings, and then do that. Because we're so deep in the bullpen. We can easily do that.
Marco, Do you think that that's enough to get past the Brewers and the Dodgers?
No.
Fair. I also want to point out that this lineup being so filthy, disgusting, and, productive from top to bottom makes me mad because we don't have a pitcher hitting in there because we have a DH. And that makes me furious that we don't have a weakness.
Apparently, there's a dude. He left the game with lower back
Oh, great.
injuries. With a lower.
We're gonna have a great time. Let's close that for baseball. Couple quick notes on soccer, just because we're running a little long today. I don't know if you guys saw this. We are maybe replacing PT Martinez already with an Argentine by the name of. Hold on, I'm going to get you his actual name, so I'm not just making shit up. Who was talking about it? Felipe Cardenas. Sorry, I know dead air is not good, but I don't care.
The wonders of editing.
Yeah, right. Moreno is his last name. Yeah, right here. Marcelino Moreno from Lanús, which is where, if I'm not mistaken, we got Miggy from. He's our new number 10. He plays high up on the pitch, top of the box. He's not a super creative central midfielder, but he is more of an offensive threat than we've had at central midfield for a while. Because, we've been playing PT out on the wing. So it looks like that's going to go through. The fans at Lanús are posting like, "We're going to miss you. Have fun, Moreno," memes and such, which is usually how you can tell that they're leaving and coming up. So it looks like Atlanta United's making some DP moves. I saw some interesting commentary that said that Stephen Glass's teams look disorganized and like they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, which is also what they said under Frank DeBoer. So I think Glass is.
We sort of figured that, right?
Yeah, Carlos and I have been talking about this for a little bit. It felt weird to be happy.
Who's
about
Carlos? He's
Atlanta's.
never come on the show. I don't know who you're talking
Carlos. Fuck you, Carlos.
Carlos is our shadow soccer expert.
Yeah. He's actually my Hawaiian food expert. It's I don't know. I think this team's gonna suck ass for the rest of the season. I've just sort of packed it in. Arsenal signed Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to a 3-year deal. Pierre being the guy who almost won the Golden Boot last year. That makes me really happy. And I think that's all of the soccer that I want to talk. Oh, Americans are doing really well in Europe right now.
Really?
We've got a bunch of kids who are starting all over Europe, including one who played for Leeds United. Leeds United, who is playing Liverpool. Leeds hasn't been up in the Premier League for like 20 years or something crazy. They played Liverpool their first game, the defending champs, and they lost 3-2, which is pretty fucking good for a team that they're just like, hey, now we're in the Prem. Hey, Pip.
Hey.
That's it for soccer.
Hold on, I got a question for you on that with the Americans.
Oh, no.
Is that a sign that we're getting better, or just we have a good batch of players essentially that came out?
It appears to be more sustained. The interesting thing to me is most American players are playing in Germany. The Germans really like Americans. Big reason being that German teams don't have a lot of money. So if they want to make splashes, they've got to sign outside of the normal sort of ranks of soccer players. So like Christian Pulisic he did academies in Europe, including at Barcelona. Then he played for Dortmund, and then he went from Dortmund to Chelsea. Weston McKennie, who's one of our midfielders, was playing for Schalke, and then went from Schalke to Juventus. He just signed for Juventus, which he ain't ready for how racist Italians are. So I feel bad for Weston. Josh Chardon plays for Werder Bremen. He's our like striker of the future. Most of these kids aren't going straight to the Prem, but the number of Americans in the Premier League right now I think to me says that, you know, what's the percentage of Ugandans in the Premier League? You know, what's the percentage of Germans in the Premier League? You know, it's hard to play there. So I think that our soccer infrastructure is getting better. I don't think that we will win a World Cup until a high percentage of the best athletes in America decide to play soccer instead of football. I think that there isn't a creativity gap necessarily as much as a talent gap. The other issue is that soccer is so fucking expensive here in the States.
Right. That limits most of your elite athletes.
Right. So like Christian Pulisic was born in Germany, and his dad got him into the Barcelona academy when he was like 10. And he's like the success. Yeah, he's the success story, you know? But you've got some other guys like Tyler Adams is really good, and he came up through MLS. So, you know, there's chance to improve, but unfortunately it's going to be stymied by the fact that, you know, it's only rich kids. Did that answer your question?
It did. Quick update. Braves are up 5-0, top of the ninth.
Hell yeah.
Freddie Freeman's batting .352 on the season.
That's my MVP, man.
Over Ozuna?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
What happened to Ronnie?
He got hurt yesterday.
2 days ago?
I don't even know what day it is. Let's stop having a podcast for tonight. Let's do some lightning round. Micah's got a lightning round question for us. Go ahead, Micah.
All right. So, question is, if a movie was made about your life, what genre would it be, and who would play you?
I'm gonna do oddball comedy drama in the style of Guy Ritchie, so with a lot of like really fast jump cuts and things like that, with like sound effects and whatever. You know, think like Rock and Rolla is a good one because my brain is always moving that fast. I think it's the only way to accurately capture my mental illness is through that kind. And Jay Baruchel, because we actually look alike. But that's who's got to play me. Mako.
Mine would have to be like
Lenny Kravitz.
Well, he can't play me. He's too old.
Dramedy.
Dramedy.
Old you.
He could play old me. It would be like a dramedy, though. It would be like sort of like a lot of like depressing, like satirical kind of like humor, but like with a touching bow on it, you know, but sort of like a lot of like, you know, suicide humor and just a lot of like dark stuff. Like that'd be my movie.
Would you give yourself a happy ending? Not like, you know, would you give yourself a happy ending? But I mean,
you ever given yourself a stranger?
I think
Dutch rudder.
The ending would be like, well, I don't know how my story is going to end yet, but I think if I had to write it today, the ending would sort of be like one of those endings where it's like anticlimactic, where you're like, oh, well, I guess everything's just normal now and nothing really
That was a movie.
Right.
I want to drive off into the sky like at the end of Grease. In my movie, and everyone just be like, what the fuck does that mean?
I don't get it.
Like everything's super realistic until then, and then like I get into like a Tesla, but like a Model 3 because I'm trying, you know, it's the economy, and I just fly off into the sky. Bobo.
Who would play you though, Marco? Did you say?
Oh, who would play me?
Lenny Kravitz. We talked about that.
we already said that.
We digitally de-age him.
I don't know who would play me. Maybe that kid from who everybody says I look like from the either from Hamilton or the Cordon Bleu dude.
Cordon Bleu.
He's like in some musical. There's two people people always tell me I look like, but I don't know. It would have to be someone no one knows yet. It'd be better if it's someone no one knows yet.
Someone unknown. That's cool.
Yeah.
Since Lionel took Guy Ritchie, my literal favorite director of all time.
I'm here for you.
I'm gonna go like a Frank Miller style film, kind of like that dark like comic book style, but not. I don't want like the dark theme, but that's the animation style that I want.
Like Sin City, but the only color
exactly.
is your hair.
Orange is the only color in the entire movie. Would play me. I don't know actors' names too well.
Would it have to be an actual redhead, or would you make someone dye their hair red?
Cultural appropriation. Who's that kid who plays Archie in Riverdale?
Oh, I know who I'd get to play me. Danny DeVito. Just have it be the complete opposite.
Marco should have picked Zac Efron. Micah?
Oh man, I think like I would do kind of a clash of different movie styles. You know, have some like Guy Ritchie type scenes, some drama scenes, some comedy scenes. But I do know, like, I want Sam Jackson doing my narrating. And who would I have play me? God. Maybe Quentin Aaron, just because. Just
Aaron Donald in his screen acting debut.
Hey, I would love that.
Special cameo by NFL head football coach Sean McVay.
See, the only thing was I said Quentin Aaron just because he's like the biggest guy in Hollywood. Well, Hollywood for a while, but now I think about it, I don't want any comparisons to The Blind Side. So no.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, you got to think outside the box, Micah. Okay.
God, Quentin Aaron.
I'm gonna get The Rock. Jesus. I'm gonna put some hair on The Rock and be like, yeah.
That's a big dude. You know what? I want the Rock to play Ryan now. Could you imagine The Rock with like a redhead wig?
Jason Momoa in a redhead wig.
Jason Momoa is who's got to play Marco. That's it.
There we go. He looks just like me.
Dress up like a bat. I dig it.
You should
those are good. Michael, you've been kind of with some good lightning round questions.
A Shia LaBeouf style film where he did that one where he directed his own film, or he was in the audience clapping at the end.
Shia LaBeouf.
That's who it should. That should be your film style.
Let's do some recs. I made chilaquiles for dinner tonight. Where you make like a verde salsa with like tomatillos and stuff like that, and then you stir some whipped eggs in to make this like creamy, eggy
green paste
cilantro-y thing. You put it on top of some tortilla chips. That's my shit. That's my rec. Chilaquiles. Gonna make some loco moco later this week. Micah, what's your rec for the week?
Ooh, man, I actually got a couple ideas. I've actually been experimenting with the whole keto thing. Found some great desserts, popsicles, keto cheesecake, and also The Boys season 2 is redonkulous. Anybody who hasn't watched it, just do what you got to do. Watch season 1. And get caught up because it is a great show. It's gory, but it's a great show.
It's really good. Mako.
Since we dropped the college football segment, I'm gonna go ahead and rec Spencer Rattler. Like, get out here and watch him because there's no resistance in the Big 12, and this kid is gonna be diming up his receivers all season long. Spencer Rattler.
Until he gets drafted by the Browns.
Or the Browns or
the Jets.
Bobo.
It's gonna be 2 years till he can come out.
My rec was in the same vein. My rec is benching James Blackman because he's a fucking terrible quarterback for Florida State, and we won't win any big games with him running the offense.
If you're looking for something to watch this weekend, Georgia State opens their college football season on Saturday. Louisiana Lafayette.
Okay.
I think.
Louisiana, just regular Louisiana beat Iowa State. I was like, what the Iowa State trash.
Did you see how Coach Orgeron was like, most of the team already got COVID?
No, not LSU, Louisiana.
No, I know. I was pivoting. Bubble football. Nobody likes football anymore. It makes us sad. This is a tennis show now. Hey, thanks guys for getting the show started before I came in. I appreciate that.
Speaking of tennis, what's the black Japanese girl? Osaka.
Naomi Osaka.
She won me some money this weekend, so
she's amazing.
She's legit.
Yeah,
she's a Kobe protege.
And she gave the best response to a question on her mask. So I loved it.
What did she say? I didn't hear it.
So they asked her because she's had a name of one of the black victims who've been killed by police for like every day, and the reporter asked her, so what's the message you're trying to put out? She was like, well, what message did you get from what I'm wearing, from me wearing these masks? And it was just like bruh, that's the point. I mean, if you can't see the message, then
right, you're digging too deep.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's it. I'm gonna go to bed.
Adios.
Thanks to James Wan, 007 for our intro and break music. If you didn't listen to the last episode, The System is Down, please do. There's a certain part of it that made me laugh out loud. I LOL'd. Who else we got? Thanks for Chef Flu, Carl for some soy sauce. I'm almost out of my original habanero.
I'm down to this on my mango.
Yeah, that's about as much as I got for the original habanero. And Jess and I are like, oh shit. And he hasn't been able to start co-packing yet because of COVID. So like, this is stressing me out.
I've got an extra OG habanero if you need it that we haven't even touched.
That might happen. How are those cookies?
Oh, I actually took half of them. They're really good.
Yeah, Jess has had them in the house for the last little bit, and I was just like, you gotta stop making these. You gotta stop. I hate exercising. Good. They're too good.
My favorite was the ones like that don't have a lot of chocolate chips on them, and it's just like the delicious cookie with the.
They both had their different, like, because the ones with a lot of chocolate chip, you're like, oh, this is so good, and then you get the ones with it's like a lot of like cakey, you're like, oh, this is so good too.
I know that Jess did a good job when Nicole came up the stairs, was just like, I was like, what's wrong? These cookies are good. All right, to the Step Brothers, to Micah, gents, it's been great. It's been fun. Have a good week. Be nice to each other.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.